We're live and on time.
It's exactly 11.
It's exactly 12 here.
Yep. 11 Mountain.
I always said it 5.
Central.
I always said it 5 minutes ahead because of not only technical difficulties, but Chad Elkins likes to cut things very, very, very close. And you know how I am with timeliness and being on time.
I was down here in the Hunker Bunker 5 minutes too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, Clarey hasn't sent me the link. I'll share it on Facebook. I'll share the YouTube link. And
you see, I've been sharing your podcast as well.
Yes.
When you ask, you give the guilt trip at the end. I'm like, oh yeah, I should share the guy.
That's not
see,
a guilt trip.
yeah.
That's sort of a blood shekels, automatic blood shekels, or like shekels. It's like a like and share shekels rant. I've got it. It's permanently embedded in my brain. I've got the cadence down. I don't even have to think about it. I just do it. So it's not to guilt trip, sort of.
No, but it's one of these things where I've given up on it because people just aren't going to get it. But a couple people do, like Sandman, who has a website over at YouTube. Some of you may have, he's a MGTOW channel, may not agree with him all the time, but he's got this hustle. Who else? Carrie Lutz at Financial Survival Network, Adam Piggott over at Pushing Rubber Downhill. There's guys who get it where it's like, hey, send me traffic, I'll send you traffic, and we can help each other out. And it's called barter. Yep. And traffic is the unit. It's almost a unit of currency now because it actually does have an intrinsic value if you attach selling things and items to it, because it will bring in money. So traffic or clicks actually is money. The modern day media knows that above all else. That's why they write these shitty articles and spin it. And then when you read the article, it's nothing to do with what the title is, but they got your click, they got your traffic. But you'd be amazed how hard it is to get other people within this sphere or any sphere. I'm sure other people who maybe they're specialists and they do blogs and podcasts about dinosaurs. Maybe, and I know this for a fact. The medieval history podcast, the world history, any of these history podcasts, military history. I'm like, well, these guys are probably a little bit more intelligent. So I've contacted these guys like, hey, I would like to advertise on your show, Curse of the High IQ. Nobody knows, one, the money they got, and two, how to fucking barter. Right. I'm like, hey, and I won't because they're good people, they're good professionals. It's like, hey, I'll send you traffic if you send me traffic. Oh, no, it's this much per month and this much per podcast or article. I say, all right, fine. And I've thrown in a towel because it's like, all right, fine. Here's my money. I get the tax deduction. You get to pay taxes on that revenue. Right. We could have scratched each other's backs.
Right.
We could have helped each other. We could have had this totally quarantine removed from Uncle Sam and Uncle Walt's taxation. We could have just helped each other out. We could have just traded and swap beads for guns. No, we can't do that. We have to make a financial transaction, and now it's taxable. Now the feds know, and it's like, and I've instead of beating, it takes more time for me to explain that than the money I could make otherwise. So it's like, fine, I'll just pay the taxes, And so
it's like hiring somebody to take care of your kids through daycare. You're paying taxes on the money you make at work, and then they're paying taxes on the money that you give them to take care of your kids. There's a shortcut. There's a fucking shortcut called take care of your kids. And
take care of your goddamn kids.
Yep.
I've said it before, but it's worth repeating again. The biggest irony, contradiction, and tragedy all in one is a disproportionate, not all women, a disproportionate percentage of women are pursuing professions so that they can afford to have their own children and the things they want so they can outsource their kids to other women. But those women also, in turn, disproportionate percentage of them are paid to take care of other women's children.
Yes.
So you have women paying other women to take care of their children because those women need the job because they can't afford to take, to take care of their kids. Whereas it doesn't have to be women. All right. It's just been that way in the past. If somebody stays the fuck home and takes care of the kids, then you're in a lower income tax bracket. You get all these benefits, or at least you're not taxed as much.
You're basically making 30% on that money.
You make it 30%. Here's Titsy McGee. I have my master's degree in social work with a specialization in childhood education. It's like you are the most overpaid, overeducated babysitter who now has student loan debt that has to be paid off with
Mm-hmm.
your paltry, shitty ass, part-time government job paying $18 an hour. It's just.
Oh, that's why they do it. That's why I'm sure why they do it is because they're in debt. They need the money.
But why
they didn't think it through?
He didn't think it through. I want to work with.
Think it through.
I mean, you could ask gals today. I want to work with children. Well, why don't you have your own and raise them? Oh God, no! I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. It's like, what? What?
Yeah, yesterday I told you. Yesterday I had MS. Right?
Multiple
I had
sclerosis?
MS. Yeah, I contracted MS yesterday.
What? You did?
Yeah. Martha
What?
Stewartism.
Okay. What's that? What's Martha
Remember, I told you yesterday when we were arranging this podcast, I made the wreaths. I made the grapevine wreaths.
Yes, the wreaths. Yes.
I'm out there in the cold, going all Martha Stewart on those grapevines. It was kind of fun. It was fun.
I know, but you sure you wouldn't have been better off hiring someone who has a master's degree in wreath making?
Yeah, I should have.
Instead of you doing it yourself?
Because then if I work this and pay somebody to do that, I make this little bit on margin and I'm getting ahead. Doing something I hate to pay somebody to do something that's awesome. Oh God.
You know what's funny? Is see now you guys, because you wanted to have kids and you did have kids, so this won't apply to you. Is all the Gen X is getting old. We old now. We be old, and all these, and we are right at the beginning of spinsterdom. Gen X spinsterdom is here. I mean, and it's the first chapter. And this is going to be a show I'm going to enjoy very much because all these gals who had all that career, they just did the baby boomer mom shit, except they turned it up to 12. So I'm entertained. But man, the ruing and the lamenting. But hey, you got to work with kids. They weren't yours, but you got to work with kids and you got to pay taxes on it. So good for you. What's a Gen X woman's name? What's a common? It was all Jenny and Jesse's, and
yeah, they're pretty normal, right?
Pretty normal.
Andrea.
We didn't have no Madisons.
No, none of that.
Whatever the kids, the name of the kids now. So,
another update. You wanted to know about deer sheds, right?
Yes, I did want to know about that. That was your mission today.
You know, just by chance, I was out partaking in wood wars today because I've got a lot of they cut down trees and they just kind of let the wood sit there. And so I'm it's cut into nice fireplace lengths. So I'm capturing all this stuff that would just rot. Guess what was sitting there on the ground next to some of that wood?
Did you find antlers?
Yeah, I did. I found one. It's hard to find two because they usually don't fall off at the same time.
Right.
Apparently. Okay. So it's hard to find a matching pair, but I found what would be 8-pointer if I had both of them. So 4 points, not bad, not 8 either. And that's why you don't find them, is because little critters eat them for the calcium.
I did not
and
know
even some deer will eat another
own
deer's antlers.
That's interesting. Well, good. Maybe you could sell it for some money. I'm not kidding. Out there, they're like, oh yeah, that's worth $50. I'm like, what? I've seen 20 of these in my hikings over the decades. You're saying I could have made hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars if I had just dragged back this horn that I found out in the wilderness? like, yeah, apparently so.
And I suppose that I mean the fact that they disappear through little critters eating them, it means they're rare. So no, I'm not going to sell it. The minute I picked it up, I felt like William Wallace from Braveheart in the beginning of that movie where he uses the deer antler to kill the guy. I was like,
dude, it's been so long. I don't even think I saw it in the theater. It's been a while since I saw that.
That was a movie I saw like 4 or 5 times in the theater. I just loved that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one that one I think is overrated by all you guys. You guys are like, oh my god, and then when this thing happened in Braveheart, freedom. I'm like, yeah, I know.
You don't like it where the hero dies. You don't like it.
I don't. No, I don't like it when the hero.
About Kingsman 2. You didn't like that part where he sacrificed himself. You don't
like the hell you did it. They didn't need to do that.
You don't like the heroic sacrifice.
When it's called for,
because you hate Jesus. That's why you hate.
Because I hate Jesus. Yeah. Yes, I hate Jesus. That's you connected it so clearly. No, there's one movie where the good guys lose, but I like it because it's true. Is A Bridge Too Far.
Yeah,
You ever see that one?
Or is it A Bridge Too Far, or is it The Bridge Over the River Kwai?
The Bridge Over the River Kwai, the good guys win.
Oh, okay.
Tragically, Alec McGinnis gets killed.
Yeah.
Ben Kenobi. Ben Kenobi. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
But those, here's one thing I liked about those old World War II movies, although you could say A Bridge Too Far wouldn't necessarily fall into that, is they were more, I know it's going to sound insulting, but they were good soap operas. They were good dramatic plays where there's a plot, but it starts at the beginning and it ends in the last 5 minutes. So, for example, The Great Escape. The movie itself is not about the escape. Yeah, that's at the end and there's action. But what I really liked about The Great Escape, and I think a lot of guys also like about The Great Escape, is the rapport the guys have with one another and all the bullshit going on behind the scenes. Like they're making moonshine and how do they dig the bridge and all the tricks, how they fool the Germans into thinking they're just good, obedient prisoners. I think that's one of the more attractive things. So the fact that the good guys lost, not only is it historically accurate in A Bridge Too Far, but it's almost secondary to that. It's almost kind of like, I want to hear Michael Caine say something witty and British and the British attitude of, we're going to die. Let's go, cheerfully. And so that's what I like about that. But Braveheart, no, I don't.
You want to hear something cynical? I bet those old movies, those old World War II movies, wouldn't have been made like that if they had CGI and the ability to do action scenes so easily like they do nowadays. They'd be making back then they would make, a 2-hour long action movie for World War II and not have all that drama and all that character development. It was all that character development stuff. I bet you was just kind of done out of necessity. Well, we got this budget. We're going to spend it all on this awesome action sequence, but our action sequence can only be maybe 10 minutes long.
5 minutes,
So we got to fill the rest of the movie building up to that action sequence. How do we do that?
The Longest Day was dangerously close to losing money. And it's because of all the action scenes. One, God, I can even remember they were talking about it where they make it into a town and they have to have, you got to have a ton of actors, hundreds of people acting as Germans or Americans,
all the extras.
All the extras. You got to shut down this entire town. They had I think a helicopter or something flying over and you could see the Allies, like they'd move and they're like, and go. And they'd have to run out like they're taking the town. So
all practical effects, really difficult to coordinate. How is my sound going? You know what's going on right now is Mrs. DT.
Oh, Windows 10?
No, Mrs. DT is working now. So
she talking
if my audio really, really sucks, guess who's gonna win? Guess who's making money?
Well, it would be the missus.
Yes.
Because we hate the women's here, right?
Yes.
We always hate the womans. Yeah, and I agree. If she's making the money, screw you. Yeah.
She's making lots of money.
Good for her.
I know. She's awesome. She's great at what she does. And she runs across at work all these guys that don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it pisses her off.
I completely understand. I thought it was going to be your Windows 10.
No. Let's see. Let's see what it's at.
How's your bipolar operating system?
Yeah, I have that at. It's only 7% disk.
Oh, that's not bad.
Did you see that the most recent Windows update patch though, like destroyed everything?
What?
Yeah, it was a horrible. The patch this Tuesday
on Windows 10.
Yes. Yeah.
Good thing I got Windows 7.
I was seeing websites going down, and at one point Google went down in my area, and so it's just like that. It had to be related to that because Mrs. DT's work was saying do not do not update or whatever, and they usually have control over that. But I suppose in a large organization, it's hard to have control over everything. Windows somehow sneaks its way in, right? And they were recommending that people back up their entire hard drive to the network.
You know what's contradictory? You know what's funny? More than 2 days ago, I log in or I fire up my computer and Microsoft sends me a notification. Microsoft will end its support of Windows 7 in January of 2020. It's like, why? Well, I know they have numbers. I know they did the crunching, but to the consumer, And maybe they don't think about the consumer. They obviously
they don't
with
care.
Windows 8. Yeah, what am I asking? Like, look, you have this great operating system. It's like the B-52. You know the history of the B-52 bomber?
No, but it's still operational, right?
That thing is not only operational. They're going to keep it going, I think. Hang on, let me look this up.
Because nobody can hack it. Yeah. I mean,
no, it's not even that it can hack it.
Is it all analog still?
B-50. No. It's that it's such a wonderfully made plane.
Yeah.
That it serves. It's so wonderfully made. Yeah. Okay. It was made in 1952. This plane is almost 70 years old.
Yeah, and it's still got lots of utility.
It still has
bomb the fuck out of people.
Right. And so, okay, yeah, it's needed some upgrades, and yeah, technology has allowed it to do this. But I think the United States Air Force, its service life, operational history, post-Vietnam Wars, Gulf, and later recent service. Cruise
I think
missiles.
B-52s fly out of Ellsworth, right, in the Black Hills area.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They fly that out. They're over at Ellsworth. I just saw that the United States Air Force was going to extend its, use for another 10 or 20 years or something.
Right.
Because it works. It fucking works.
Yeah, it goes way the fuck up high into the atmosphere.
High. Carries a shit ton of bombs. You can cruise everything. It's adaptable. And they're saying, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Microsoft, it ain't broke. We got to replace it. We got to replace it. And here's Windows 7. I have no problems, none whatsoever.
And some people think Bill Gates isn't evil. Give me a fucking break.
He's not on it anymore, is he?
Well, Jesus.
He's I thought he was a
I'm sure. I mean, the planned obsolescence thing is real. Yeah, it's a scam. Windows 10 is malware, and it eventually fucks everything up, and you have to buy a new computer. It's a scam.
I know. I may switch to Linux because it just works.
Right.
But the problem is a lot of the programs I use that they don't exist on Linux.
Yeah.
And it's just, you get this platform, we get that we're all used to this. We're all used to this. No, we got to change it now. We're going to force everybody to adapt. And so is there an operating system after 10?
Not yet.
Okay. So everyone's got to, what? It's 10 or go fuck yourself?
Basically, yeah.
Holy shit.
It's terrible. It's just, and then once they've fucked everything up on 10, they'll go, here's Windows. I don't even know if they'll use a number next time. I bet you they don't even use a number.
Maybe. You think they're going to get cute like
Apple,
they'll have some operating system lion, operating system giraffe.
They'll say cute. Something platinum or whatever. They'll,
God.
They'll just keep going with that. And, yeah, I mean, that's why, I'm as far as my podcast is concerned, I'm like, maybe I should just record things on my computer and post them where I've got control and not really even bother, wading into the StreamYard and all these kinds of things like we're doing right now. Just kind of do my own thing and put it out there. And if people follow it, fine. If they don't,
it's
whatever.
Not going to matter because you're still dealing with a Windows 10 operating system. You might as well go to StreamYard.
But all the other stuff.
Things that actually fucking works is StreamYard.
Right. But you were having troubles with it for a little while. And
not really. No, StreamYard, no. I had trouble with OBS, which worked for a while. Then they decided to make it cute and add a whole bunch of bells and whistles. It's like, I didn't ask for this.
Right.
What else? There was BitChute, but it didn't do... I don't think it does live stream. You can only upload there. There's DLive. You can live stream, but you can't save it there. I mean... Look, I appreciate these people's entrepreneurial spirits of trying to knock down YouTube, but you have to offer. It's like, hey, we got a car with 4 wheels, but no steering wheel. You have to go over there. It's like, fuck. Can one of you people, look, I don't have the connections. I don't. But can one of you people who have the connections, either in Silicon Valley or somebody who knows the Koch brothers, can you get $2 billion gathered up on investments? Investment banks could gather multiple billions of dollars. Heck, what was it? The WeWork? They were going to do $47 billion.
Yeah, I saw that was a total scam, and I saw that was a.
Who saw that?
But I saw it on Fox last night. They were talking about how WeWork basically was a scam, and the CEO went away with like $1.8 billion.
Yep.
It's just it's just like the whole thing's a fucking scam. Everything out there is a scam. Everybody's scamming everybody else. And I think StreamYard, this probably is the way to go. And it would be great if they would just say, okay, the way we've got it right now is working perfect. No matter how we try to improve it, there will always be this version, so you don't have to learn to do anything else. Right. If they made that like commitment, you would get everybody using it, because that was part of the reason why I quit the first version of the debrief, was that so much of my time was fighting with Windows 10 and fighting with this and fighting with that. And it's just like, this isn't worth it. Most of my time is not podcasting. It's trying to keep up on this technology. And if you had somebody just commit, okay, things are good enough. This is good. We'll call it good.
You know what? What if Windows came out with Windows B52 and it lasts 70 years?
And they had like a commitment that the only patches are going to be security patches. We're not going to do a patch so that you can click here and it does this and that and the other thing. Just security patches, no improvements of the software at all. What you see is what you get. Yeah, you'd have everybody sign on to that.
I was happy with Windows, what was it? XP.
Right.
And I was happy with Microsoft Office. What was it?
Whatever version.
97?
Where it didn't.
I don't use
autocorrect.
Other shit. I don't use any of it.
Where it doesn't do things automatically for you. And
did you want this? Did you want that? Yeah, I wanted. Look, we all got nagging wives. Now I want a nagging fucking operating system and a spreadsheet program. That's exactly what I fucking want.
Hey, just wait until they create the operating systems that not only work for your desktop computer and for your tablet, but also for the chip that's going to be in everybody's head. They're going to have to find a way to have an operating system that works for all three of those versions of technology.
You know what's sad is well, it already exists. Wasn't there a group of employees in Wisconsin and I think somewhere in Sweden where they voluntarily said, yeah, put the chip in my arm.
Put the chip in my arm. Yeah. Well,
I'd like to say it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen to me.
That won't go wrong. That won't.
Then your macabre science fiction scenarios you like to fantasize about will actually become reality. You will.
It releases the nanobots into your bloodstream from the chip, right?
Yeah. Oh God. Did I have you have a mission? You had to look something up.
Well, that was the whole
the sheds.
No, well, the sheds was the one thing. So I did accomplish that.
Yeah.
Because that did not require me to leave the compound.
Right.
But your other mission required me to leave the compound.
Oh, yeah, that's right. All right. I forgot what it was. You're right.
It's to go around and see if the bars out here in South Dakota have as much pro football paraphernalia. Yeah. As Minnesota, because there is no local professional football sports team in South Dakota. They seem to favor Denver here.
Okay.
But there are lots of Vikings fans too.
Yeah. The only reason I brought it up is because in my quote weakened state, everything pisses me off. So I got to really calm down. And we go.
Are you always in a weakened state then? Or
no,
because you seem to be pissed off all the time.
I know, but
even more
physical consequences. I have to dude, you look, you guys see Aaron Clarey here, which is the same. Because I enjoy doing this. I'm actually happy.
Yeah, you are the same person.
I am the same person. But then once I turn this off, I've had to make changes. Like I don't drive in rush hour at all.
Right.
If the traffic is bad, I don't even drive to the city. I've cut out coffee because I found out that is what's been making my side ache. So that's been a good development.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I think we could say I cracked. I had enough. I burnt out, whatever. My body cannot take what it did in my 20s and 30s.
Right.
Because then my side starts to hurt. I get tired. And so when it's fun and you and me going back and forth, that's fine.
It's entertaining. Yeah.
That's entertaining and I'm making money and I enjoy it. But little kids, I was at the 3-year-old. Well, it was a 2-year-old. Then it was a 3-year-old because the 3-year-old had the 3-year-old party. And everything was great until the other kids, not all of them, but some of them are not raised correctly by their parents. And they scream and cry and they grab. And that immediately started triggering my side because I want to kick the kid in the face and say, knock it the fuck off. But I can't because it's not my kid. And I'd go to jail. And it'd be assault. And then Cappy would be in jail. Although maybe jail would be good for my mental constitution. I just calm down. I read some books. I relax, write some books. Who knows? Anal rape never hurt anybody, whatever. So
Cappy in jail.
So now I gotta find out what my triggers are. See my triggers. So
don't start using that language.
Well, I actually have. It's like PTSD. Like guys who've been shot up in war, they have the right to have PTSD. Millennials who mommy didn't give her government check or whatever, they don't have the right to get PTSD. I have a right to have some triggers because it happens. It triggers shit.
So like the left, they talk about microaggressions. Would you have like micro annoyances that you need to be aware of?
And I'm not proud of it either. It is what it is. I have to catch myself. Like, am I in a situation that's pissing me off now?
Right.
And get me. And it is. And it's like people who are late. I won't go into the details, but last night I'm like, we gotta go. We just have to go because we were waiting on someone and he was like an hour late. I'm like, I'm getting pissed off.
Hours. Yeah, hours.
Yeah, no, we got to go. And to show you something, how fragile old Capmeister State is right now. We went to a restaurant. I go out running on this loop. I'm still relatively new to the area. And I'm like, oh, there's a bar there, bar and restaurant. I'm like, oh, let's try that. So me and the GF went there. And unbeknownst to me, you walk in through the first, and there's this big Vikings advertisement. And it's the most hypocritical. Yes, yes, it is. And you actually are of that descent. Technically, I'm of that descent as well. But here's this Viking football player, not an actual Viking, a football player Viking, standing on one of those Viking ships. And it says something like, the Vikings are coming. I'm like, fuck you. Just fuck you, Minnesota.
Were they advertising a signing or a signature or
no, it was just the Vikings game. The Vikings game. They show the game at their, whenever Sunday, Monday, whenever they have games, and it's like the Vikings are coming. I'm like, okay, number one, the Vikings have never won shit. Fuck all crap.
Nope.
They've failed going to the Super Bowl twice in my lifetime because of a missed field goal. And I was so fucking happy to see both times. It was great. I just, the state deserves it. Two, nobody, maybe one or two people at most on the Minnesota Vikings actually hail from Minnesota. Now, this is a criticism you can make of any major football team. And these people don't give a shit about you people in Minnesota. No. They're here to make the goddamn money. Three, of the quote Vikings, what's the NFL black and Latino and non-Scandinavian percentage? I mean, the majority, 76, 75% non-Scandinavian?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, a lot of linemen can be whitey white Whitersons. Vikings.
Yeah, but are even they from Scandinavia?
Well, yeah, who knows?
They could be from Germany. They could be from France.
Right.
So there is no Viking thing, and you have this Viking ship, and the Vikings are coming. It's like, and then finally, it's all the dipshits who actually will go to a bar because that's what agitated me is people don't do it if it doesn't work.
Right.
Like if putting posters of another man up who wore purple and yellow, who's never won anything, by the way, gets your dumb ass to go to a bar and sit down and hork down wings and drink light beer. I'm wrong. You got to do it. So it tells me that, again, the normies, conformies, and inferiors, they respond to this shit, and I get to live in this cesspool. And so when I saw it, my brain went through that all in one shot. I'm like, oh. And
so then you left?
No, we got our food.
Oh, you soldiered on.
I soldiered on.
Like a Viking. You.
A real Viking. Yes, a real Viking. And then I raped and pillaged everybody.
Right.
No.
Right. Actually, the game was on last night, and I watched, and they won. Skull.
Okay.
But I thought it was funny. I was thinking about the whole Viking thing, and I'm looking at the logo and stuff. I'm like, wouldn't it be awesome if every one game, they're always doing different uniforms and throwback uniforms and
pink gloves
and the pink month and all that kind of stuff. Right. But for the Vikings, wouldn't it be great if all these players, including all the black guys, dyed their hair blonde for just one game, and the black guys with the long dreadlocks braided
blonde,
them, braided them just like the logo, and just that would be fun. That would be really fun.
Mustache and the beard, that takes some time to grow. Like, I guess they could get away with it in Movember, right?
Whatever they've got, dye it blonde.
That would be fucking tits. I'd tune into that game.
There was somebody that took his helmet off, and he had frosted his hair, and I'm like, and he was a black guy, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. All these black guys should do that if they're on the Vikings. They should just say, we're going to culturally appropriate your ass and just dye our hair blonde because we're on the fucking Vikings.
He's a sacker. I don't know what that is. He's a defenseman for the Green Bay Packers. Oh, and he's got the long blonde hair.
Yeah, he looks like a Viking.
Yeah, he probably does have some skin. And
I can't remember his name. He's famous. Yeah.
Yeah, but if everybody could look like him for just one Vikings game where they all that'd be great. That'd be great. I guess it
would be like celebrate actual Viking Heritage Day, at the
Rape and Pillage Day.
Yeah. We appreciate the actual heritage of the Vikings. And everybody's going to dye their hair blonde. We're going to forget about cancer in the tits for one weekend.
Yeah.
And do Viking Appreciation Day.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. You know what? It's such a good idea and it's such fun. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. No.
Could you imagine those guys though that have the predator hair?
That'd be awesome.
It would be so cool.
I just think if you're going to go to that extent, you really ought to grow out your beard and mustache.
Yeah.
Because then you get the full effect.
Right.
But yeah, no, that'd be really cool. That'd be neat. Everybody.
And they come out on the field without their helmets on.
Right, without their helmets. Yeah. Maybe carrying axes. Can they carry axes? We're just kidding. We'll put the axes. They get an axe bin. Like, all right, we're not going to carry it.
And white people would love it. We don't care if you culturally appropriate us.
No. White people. I disagree with you. Who complains the most on the cultural appropriate? Who are the most sensitive, whiny liberal leftists out there?
But they would never say that was cultural appropriation. They might say it's like racism. Like, look, they're trying to be white and intimidate the other team.
Right.
They're trying to be the master race with a bunch of blonde heads out there.
I don't think anybody would complain except for your standard liberal, professionally offended white people. You ever see remember She-Ra?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, there's a meme going around, and it's just She-Ra. She's got her sword up, because I guess like He-Man, she could, by the power of Grayskull, she was whatever her name was, she could turn into She-Ra. Well, and it says, by the power of white girl, I'm offended on your behalf. I'm like, that's perfect. It's perfect. It exactly hits it. Oh. Anyway.
So no, I have not looked, but I think the one bar that I do go to quite often, it doesn't nearly have the amount of posters in the windows and all that kind of stuff. So
right, and I'm kind of thinking that may be a huge, because you don't really know much. Think about your environment until certain things are gone or they're introduced. And it dawned on me, like, when I've gone to, I've been to my fair share of bars. If anything, if you see an advertisement, it's for the motorcycle rally.
Yeah, right.
But I don't recall seeing Denver or the Twin Cities or any, the Twins are on him. I'm wondering, will that noise finally go away? Like old Cap Meister could just walk into a bar and I could get a burger, It
lessens, I think. There's still always sports on, right?
Right.
That's because we're obsessed with sport.
Right.
But I don't think there isn't paraphernalia all over the place.
There's not going to be posters. There's not going to be soccer moms with bumper stickers with Go Twins or Minnesota Vikings. I know for sure there's not going to be traffic jams like there was last night because of sports ball. And then you've ever been to Mancini's over in St. Paul?
Yep. You took me there.
Okay. When I used to live in Minneapolis, you'd shoot over on the interstate and you exit on Marion to get to 7th Street, and then you go down to Mancini's. Well, that puts you right there by the Xcel Energy Center.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Every fucking time, like one out of two times.
Yeah, if you don't time it right, you're totally fucked. If a concert's letting out or anything,
you are fucked. And you got to the point where you knew to come in on the south end and not bother with it. That's not going to happen in Rapid City. It's not going to happen. There might be a concert, but heck, the population is 50,000. That's how much fit into whatever the stadium or whatever. You're going to get maybe 5,000 people to show up. It's just going to be wonderful. And so all that crap, all this worship, all this idolization, this cult, it's gone. Well, there's none of this vicarious living and like, yeah, go Vikes, and people wearing the fucking Jets. All gone when I get out there.
Well, and what's left is actual fun. We just found out, Mrs. DT and I just found out, we were watching the TV, and it's like, oh, Rapid City's got a professional hockey team,
cool.
A level down from the NHL, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could be really fun. When it's when I was back in Minnesota, I invited you up to the little it wasn't even amateur baseball team. It was great. It was fun. It's fun to watch.
Neighborhood baseball. It was a wonderful neighborhood baseball. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and so it's back to fun when there isn't so much fucking money involved. There's obviously money involved with if they're semi-pro or whatever level of professional hockey team it is. Mm-hmm. But I mean, these guys, it's like it would be like some of the metal bands that I like are guys that have a day job. Mm-hmm. They're doing it because they love it. They're not doing it because they're making tons of money. They're doing it because they love it. And there's something cool. There's something more fun about that. It's a lot more fun to go watch a concert in a bar or in a small venue than it is in a stadium. It's just more fun. And so it's the same thing with sports.
Well, I mean, you see in Saints games, St. Paul Saints.
Yeah. They're a little too big now, but it's still more fun. They're too big
now, right? And that's the problem. Is it's how much bullshit do I have to go through to see this game? Now, when they used to be at Midway Stadium, for people who don't know, the St. Paul Saints is what the AAA league.
I don't remember. Yeah.
It's minor league baseball, and they go up against, I think it's the Sioux City Rattlers, and good old American baseball. You're going to play this Americana. And you could park for free if you found a spot. If not, you park down the street. You walk in, people are grilling. You pay your $5, and you go cheap, in. Yeah. And I think maybe at most there is 30 rows in the bleachers. That's it. And you can see them. They're right there. You can see what their faces look like. Absolutely would I be up for minor league. But if you want to go see a concert or a professional game, you got to go through security. You got to get your tickets. You got to fight track. It starts the second you leave your driveway and you get onto a goddamn meter ramp because every other fucking sheep and lemming is lining up to go jerk their pud off to some dude who doesn't give a shit about them throwing a sphere into a ring.
Yep.
Then you get there, your team loses, and then you get to battle that shit all the way back home.
And it's the same thing with music. You go to a really popular band in a huge venue. Some of the venues now have good sound, but most of them have shit sound, and everybody's cheering, and so you can't even really hear the music all that well anyway. And then you go home. But if you're in a small venue, you go there. You might see the band before the concert. You might be able to buy them a beer. You might be able to say, "Hey, I really like your music."
Sign my CD.
They go up on stage. They interact with you personally out in the crowd if you're loud enough, and it's a hell of a lot more fun.
And although maybe this is not the case anymore, but with minor leagues, I'd imagine the steroid use is not as rampant. I mean, you're actually seeing real baseball. You're seeing real football.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be, and it's just with my health improving and all that, taking it easy. I'm just aiming to get that house, man. Just aiming to build that house. And
it is interesting though. I think it is so great out here that then other things become the top annoyance. And so just be aware of that too. You might be so annoyed right now in Minnesota. And then when you move out here, you'll be like initially, oh, this is great. And then after a few months, you'll be like, oh, this little thing really annoys me.
I know, but I've always, what is my definition of success?
I don't know.
This is one of my personally favorite quotes of myself, which sounds arrogant as hell, but this is probably one of the most poignant things I've ever said. The definition of success is replacing large problems with slightly smaller problems.
Okay, there you go.
That's progress. Yeah, you're never going to eliminate the problems. You will never eliminate the problems. Yep. I mean, if you think, and a lot of everybody, the listeners, you're all younger, and especially if you're poor, you think, oh, once I get my 6 figs and no debt and, the position of fuck you, I'm going to be perfectly happy. No, There will always be they're not as bad as starving. They're not as bad as, oh shit, I may not be able to make rent this month. It's not as bad as that, but there's still going to be problems. And they never
put that on an inspirational quote, with the with the trees and the mist and the calm lake,
No
definition of success, replacing big problems with smaller problems. Aaron Clarey.
Slightly. That is key.
Yeah, slightly smaller. Yeah.
It's not like, hey, I have this big, huge problem of being poor. Now I got a hangnail. No, it's like, now I have a mortgage. And I got rid of my mortgage. Oh, well, now I have to save for retirement. Oh, I got retirement. Oh, where is everybody? Where are my friends? Right. Some of them can actually be bigger problems you didn't even fathom existed until you finally battled your way out of Maslow's hierarchy of needs to get to this point. You're like, fuck.
Shoot, I didn't see that one.
I didn't see this one coming. Crap. It's perfect example is like you get married. I found the love of my life. Now you're about to get divorced. So sometimes that's not progress. That's regress. That's what you got. That's where you're falling behind. Is now you have a bigger problem. Like I just got to find a girl and get married and fall in love. Oh shit, she's divorcing me and taking half my assets. That's a bigger problem replacing a slightly.
So that's not success, right? No, I think I might have to Photoshop something with that quote.
It's a great quote.
I might have to Photoshop that and see how viral that goes. See how many people share that, like they share other enjoy
things. Enjoy the decline. That grew some legs and went. Now people say that somewhat commonly. People, it's successful when people say it and they don't know who you are or where it came from.
Right.
They just
the coffee is good. It's starting to take off a little bit. And I actually saw somebody made a meme of I like to say filthy leftists and filthy Democrats. And somebody made a meme with Gollum saying filthy leftist. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's great. Winning.
Well, should we do some super chats here?
Yeah, that sounds good.
We have a question. That's good. I like good questions. Aaron's, could you please elaborate on why you feel women shouldn't date men who consume marijuana even occasionally? What if everything else is right on point and they do it instead of drinking? Well, I'd love to answer that question, but what's the problem with their DT?
I don't know.
I'll put it back up.
Women shouldn't date men who consume marijuana even occasionally. I mean, what's
wrong with this request?
It's this person. Well, is this person a woman or is this person a man? Or
do you see any fucking money attached to it?
No, there isn't. Why did you put it up on the screen?
Because I'm not going to answer it. I just put it up on the screen because it's a great question. And gosh, I'd love to answer it, but I don't work for free.
Oh, so, I see what you're doing here.
Here's Nonstop Trey.
Was that a fat finger or was that a point?
No, it was. Yeah, I don't hate thinking time pose. I don't hate thinking time, but it's kind of like, guys, these podcasts take time. This is going to be 2 hours. I could spend 2 hours writing my book and make actual money. I got some asshole consulting I got to do.
It's nice outside today here. So
is it? What's the temperature?
Oh, it's in the 60s. It's in the high 60s.
That's how it should be. I saw I've been watching your weather. I'm like, damn it, he's going to get better weather. See, now I'm envious of you.
Well, it's only today, and then it's going to hit the shitter again tomorrow, and we might get snow, actually.
Right. You guys have had way worse weather than we have. So I'm like, I don't feel too bad now.
Yeah, when I move here, that's when the shit hits the fan, when the snow hits the fan.
You had record rain and snow.
I know.
Yeah.
I think I'm cursed. I think God hates me, and I think it's just my fate.
Yeah.
So the coffee's good.
All right, Nonstop Trey 360 morning, gents. Good morning, Nonstop Trey and Cappy Ties. Yes, the bearded never feel. Holy shit, $20. Bearded, thanks. Go ahead, read this one.
36th birthday today, and this show is a great gift. Well, happy birthday! I have felt Bearded. Myself grow better since starting to regularly take in your content, Cappy. DT, I am also enjoying your debrief podcast. Awesome. Downloaded all 6 to enjoy at work. Metal sign. So he's a metal fan.
He's a metal fan too. All right, good.
Well, it actually isn't all 6. I mean, this could be a very happy birthday to you. I believe there were like 170 some episodes before the most recent 6. So
what do
if you want version 1 and kind of 1.2 before you get to version 2, there's lots out there.
Where's Where's the link? You still got it up on the internet, right?
Yeah, they're all on blackbrigade.org. You can get to them that way. I've got posts that say 2014 podcast archive, 2015 podcast archive. I think there's 4 years of archives.
About YouTube channel. Where am I? Archives.
Yeah.
Podcast archive.
Yep.
All right, here. I'll put this up. And it was a great show. Me and Atham and everybody really liked it. So anyone in the listening audience, if you're new, you didn't know about the Black Brigade. Yeah, DT and the Man had a great show, but they had to had to end it like every great band did because reasons. Because I don't like your color.
Which we don't get into. We don't really get into.
We don't need into. So anyway, happy birthday there, Bearded. Thanks for the quiche, and we'll put to good use.
Yeah, thanks for falling in, soldier. Awesome.
Yeah. Nonstop Dre 360, but they're independent minded and want it all. When were we talking about that? We must have been talking.
Oh, I'm sure that's the women that
40 minutes
go to school or go work rather than take care of.
Oh yes, they're so independent minded. I still will never, because you can't go back in time. You can't undo it. Gen X women's eggs are going bad now. The expiry date is here. It's happening. And then, I don't know.
We were all sold a bill of goods, us Gen Xers.
We were.
And yeah, that's why we are doing what we do, because we woke up, but it was a little late.
Yeah.
And so we want to help other people wake up before it's too late.
And the only thing I can really feel bad about the millennials for is that their tuition prices were like 3 times what we paid.
It's crazy.
But dude, it wasn't like the baby boomer, the millennials like, oh, we were misled. And I was like, yeah, because baby boomers are just giving us great bits of wisdom ourselves.
Right.
They weren't telling us the exact same shit they told you.
Well, a lot of millennials were raised by boomers though. So it's kind of half and half.
Yeah, most of them were raised by baby boomers. It's great. Like their hatred is we're like their older siblings.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, we actually literally would be.
Yep.
And some older Gen Xers could be the parents of some very young millennials.
Yes,
but
right.
By and large, it was the baby boomers that bred that generation and raised them. And
right.
We're like in the clear, man. We're just like stepping aside. It's like the Nazis and the communists fighting each other. It's like, yeah, Hitler, why do you go invade Russia? Sounds like a great idea. We'll just sit here on our own country.
Right, exactly.
Oh, got this one.
Sure. What is it like working mostly? Oh, from Wizardly Wizard, I got to say that for $5. What is it like working mostly online? What are the pros and cons in your experience? Take it away, Cap.
Well, you don't want to contribute your little 2 cents. You kind of sort of work online. You've worked from home.
Yeah, I make tons of money working online. Yeah.
What? You have worked remotely, have you not?
Yes. Okay. That's okay. Yeah, I could say something about that. Well,
we're waiting.
I mean, if you're working, working mostly online is different than working remotely. I would say working remotely is great because you can, those times in the day when you're at work and you go to the water cooler or you go take a walk or whatever, you're able to go, I don't know, fold laundry or there's things that you can stay
very
productive.
Tight ship. You have a very tight ship at home.
Yes. The other nice thing about it is you do get your work done a lot faster at home, I think, because you're not wasting time. If you're at home, you're going to try to get it done as quick as possible. And so I think it automatically makes you more efficient, more productive. And so let
me ask you this though, when you a lot of that is also then determined in your case, like, okay, the kids are getting home by X, Mrs. DT is getting home. It's like you are, and in my case, the GF is getting home by like, I'm going to get all this shit done so that when she gets home, boom, we go out and play and I have my free time.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it's, and so then the question becomes, the only hard question is you'll be sitting there at home, working online. If you're working remotely, and you'll go, man, I'm done with my work and I'm supposed to still work for another 3 hours. You kind of have to be okay just lying on your timesheet so you have to play a bit of a game there and stay online and make it look like you're still online and kind of be pretending to work if you're working remotely, because otherwise then you're being way too productive for the salary that you're taking home. So you will get done with your work lots faster working remotely. The only problem is just coordinating with meetings and shit like that. That's the only thing that's a little difficult is, but that's pretty easy with, conference calls and stuff now. So
yeah, I'd say everything DT said. I would say another pro is your health, because you have all this. Now, this assumes you don't have a boss. If you're like me and you don't have a boss, you have complete and total control of your schedule. So your health will increase, because it's like, okay, I'm done looking at the screen. I need to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to go for a run. Then you come back, you're in better mood, and you write some more, do whatever it is you do. Okay, I'm done with this. I got to run some errands and change the oil. So you have a really tight ship. You're very healthy. Here's the problem. If you work from home and you don't have a boss, you will also become unhealthy, where you will then slip into vice. In my case, it was booze, because I could do my job drunk or sober, doesn't matter. So I'd get my work done, my workout done, it'd be noon. And all your other buddies are stuck at the slave plantation, or, in traffic or whatever. And so you could do pot, you could play video games, you can get in porn, you can do booze. There's all this other vice. And I'm not, and it's sad, because you'll have it all done. It's all done.
Yeah, your work's done. Yeah.
You're making money, and then you're just like, well, and so what you got to do is you're facing kind of a quasi-retirement, and you really end up just seeing old people. That's what ends up happening when I go to Vegas. It probably happened when I used to be in the WBL. You go to the bar, it's just old retired guys, at 1.
Well, you get bored because you're not interacting with anybody, really.
And that's
when you're at work, you can go stop by the cube and say, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And so that is a con, that there isn't that kind of interaction to make it less boring.
Right. And it is, and that is the biggest drawback of working online or from home, is you will get so bored. It's great for like a year or two. Maybe you can make it 3 or 4. Maybe your personality is your hermit, and maybe you can handle that. Me, oh God, you got to get out. But then you're facing this paradox. It's like, okay, so what? I go apply for a job, and then you go apply for a job, and you get there, and you're like, I remember why I quit, because remember,
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly
progress is taking a problem and replacing it with a slightly lesser problem. And that slightly lesser problem is, I'm lonely and bored, and I don't have any colleagues. I'll go back and, fuck, I got a boss and he's a psychopath, and there's commute. So there's always a problem, but yeah, you gotta then join like groups, or you gotta get out. And then another thing is, you're out of sync with everybody else. Everybody else, you'll be like, hey, let's go do something. People come home, you're like the dog that's been waiting for his man. Like, everyone's coming home, let's go do stuff. You know what most people are?
They're tired.
They're tired. They don't want to go hang out with you. Well, they'd like to, but they just don't have the energy. So that's the real huge drawback of working online. I predict, and wasn't that what WeWork was about? Like,
WeWork was, I guess the scam of that was that they fixed up buildings to rent out the office space to people who couldn't afford office space. Basically, you need to have a cube 3 times a month or whatever. I think it was something like that, where it was sort of, it sounded like the wave of the future, but it was a scam.
Yeah. It was a scam that worked out exactly the way it was. He paid himself a nice fat salary as CEO, I bet, right?
Yes, he did.
That happened a ton of times.
His severance was huge. So dude, it basically was a Ponzi scheme. I think they said that some of the properties that he would rent to then rent out to other people, he owned. So he was using company money to pay himself. It was crazy, I guess.
I saw that happen so many times with the .coms, where these guys would, we're doing this thing with the internet, and then we put an E in front of it, and all these dopey investment bankers and financiers would throw their money up, and all you had to do is say, we understand if this is too complicated for you to understand. And these dopey ass middle-aged white guys could not fucking throw enough money at it. And all it was a scam, so that you paid yourself as CEO, like $1.2 million in salary. The company lasted 3 years. You made your money.
Yeah, and then you're gone.
And it's perfectly legal.
Yep.
Perfectly legal.
Yep.
And so going, Operation Evil, I have a couple, aces up my sleeves. That's one of them.
I just could never do it. It's just like,
I could. I could.
I just could never do. I'm enjoying my Crow Peak. What is it? Crow Peak
Beer?
Pile of Dirt beer. I think it's a porter.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's cheap. Entertainment's cheap.
Have you?
I feel rich. Yeah.
Did you get that over in Spearfish?
Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, it's a can, so it's.
I know it's a can. Did you buy it everywhere? They sell it. Okay, so you didn't go to the brewery in Spearfish. Buy Crow Peak.
No, they've got a new beer called Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer. That is very delicious. I hope I find that in the can. I had that on tap.
What have you climbed Crow Peak yet?
No.
Have you climbed any peaks yet?
We haven't really done.
Oh, Jesus Christ! You move in summer.
There is. The place. It's awesome.
I know the place. Yeah.
Why would you want to leave?
Because there's mountains all around, and streams, and and I've had gold panning, and agates, and shooting guns, and kayaking, and everything. There's everything.
I know. Yeah. This
is okay. You know what this is like? Just so you understand how I don't understand.
I know you're jealous of me for being here, but then I'm not doing what you would be doing.
I'm gonna paint the picture so you understand how confusing this is to me. This is like. I found out my buddy DT
I'm dating Eva Mendes.
No, you've gone to this super high-end bunny ranch where it's gorgeous. Eva Mendes is there, but she's just one of many. There's a young Jennifer Aniston, a young there's just like gorgeous babes. And they're like, yeah, I'm on this sex ranch, and they're all STD clear and free, and yeah, I've just been reading books. That's exactly
I'm watching the Vikings game.
Watching the Vikings game. Yeah, that's exactly.
Drinking some beer, watching the Vikings game. Yeah, Jennifer Aniston's giving me a back rub, but
no.
You not even a back rub.
No, you don't even. No, you haven't even.
I did some things. We've done some things.
Really? What did you do? I had to put a gun to your guys' head to get you go agate hunting.
We hiked M Hill or whatever that's called. The hill right there in Rapid City. We hiked that.
With the dinosaur on top of it?
Well, we've done that multiple times, but the one with the
Cowboy
South Dakota
Hill. Oh, yeah.
The one with the big University of Mines and Technology.
Right.
Yeah. No, we've done things. We drove Spearfish Canyon. We've done some things.
All right.
Hey, the thing is that, if you do it all in one shot, then you've done everything. So we've got plenty of stuff still to do. We still look forward to every weekend, We're pacing ourselves.
I lived there for 2 summers solid. Not a day went by I didn't do a hike or some great activity. That's
you, man. That's you.
Still, but I'm saying having old Cappy attack it constantly for 6 solid months. There's still stuff I haven't done out there I want to do.
Sure.
Oh God.
I'm just laid back. You know me. That's why you like me, because I'm just kind of.
I do, but I'm like the kids. If anything, like you guys didn't.
They don't like to hike.
They don't like to hike.
No, they don't.
What about Mrs. DT?
She loves to hike. We used to hike all the time when we were.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I mean, it's a problem getting the kids out. So.
This is not good. Hey, Aaron, from Sam Whiskey for $4.99. Hey, Aaron, Daniel Craig 007 is in a YouTube video in a dress for equal pay. He's betraying the franchise that made him a star. Hang on. I gotta see this.
Well, he's a huge leftist.
He's a lefty. I know. Yeah. I'm not gonna see the next James Bond. The previous 2 sucked.
I think he said he was totally bored playing James Bond now. I mean, he's just like totally over it.
Daniel Craig, dress, equal pay. Do I even want to see this? International Women's Day. Cross dresses to support. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to bother with it.
Is he trying to be funny?
No, he's trying to be all serious. He's in his James Bond outfit, and he's going to cross-dress, and it's like, you know what? There's a reason women make less. Sometimes women make more. You know how much more women make who are lingerie models and porn stars?
Right.
And, well, shoot, do you think you and I can go and flash our jamokes on the YouTubes? Or not the YouTubes,
they make
internet?
Tons more money online.
Yeah, you show me a young 22-year-old guy who can have a webcam show and make solid 6 figs. Don't tell me. And then there's that whole die earlier than women thing, and women get our inheritance. So
we don't even
do
need
wealth,
to
or do you want to do income comparison? What do you want to do?
It's all crazy. The coffee's good. We don't need to get into
Not
it.
gonna see that movie. I am hoping, because they've already let the cat out of the bag, that 007 is now a black female.
Sure.
I think, dude, no black guy's gonna see it. No real black guy's gonna see it. They're gonna be like, what the fuck? They are gonna be like, what the? They might get some black women to go see it, but I don't know black women that wouldn't have gone seen the James Bond movie. Who doesn't like James Bond?
Right. I mean, yeah.
Everybody likes.
Well,
James
leftists don't like it now. I mean, a former boss of mine, she and her family, they love James Bond, and they were watching. Like Pluto TV has a whole free television station devoted to James Bond movies. You can watch James Bond movies all day online for free.
Pluto TV,
and so they, I guess they like to watch all the James Bond movies once or twice a year or whatever, and she said that they've got boys, and she said she's telling her boys, well, it's not okay how he's acting. What he's doing there is
are we
not
talking
okay.
Roger Moore?
All
James
of them,
Bond?
yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, she's trying to teach her sons that, well, the way that he's treating the women there is not good. You know, when he slaps them on the ass or whatever, and
Man talk.
Thunderball, yeah.
No, that was Goldfinger.
And it's like, and unfortunately,
say goodbye to Felix. Why? Man talk. Spank.
Yep, spank.
Great scene. Great scene.
I mean, what movie had pussy galore? And
that was Goldfinger.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's extreme. But look, the ladies love this guy. How do you tell your son that, well, this is totally wrong, this is a different time, you don't treat women like this? And he's seeing James Bond get all the women. Is
the husband a cuck? Is he like a pussy?
I think so.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, I don't think he's I would hope. I mean, if it were me, I'd be taking the guys aside after mom said something like that and said, no. Yeah. but I don't. They're unfortunately they're getting. Yeah. It's not good. It's not good. No. This is the same person that told me.
All I'm pointing out is what they're trying to do with this diversity thing is they're taking something that is already popular that most people like. You know, like let's reverse the roles. Did you like the Cosby Show?
I love the Cosby Show.
Everybody loved the Cosby Show. Now, what if you force-fed some gay white people into that?
Right. Or a bunch of Vikings. A bunch of Vikings.
I don't know where Vikings would fit into the plot of Upper.
I just mean Nordic people.
Well, it would ruin it.
Yes.
And you would repulse everybody. Now, James Bond, the franchise, take Daniel Craig's recent films out of it, is already universally popular. Everybody likes James Bond. It's Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's chocolate ice cream. Don't fuck with the formula. Oh, they're going to fuck with the formula. And they're trying to fuck with the formula because they think they're going to eke out some extra minority viewers where it's like, you already got them. What you're going to do is you're going to piss off predominantly black males when you throw a black female in there. And not to mention all the other males who are like, fuck this shit, we're done. So I'm betting. I'm very rarely optimistic. How optimistic am I usually there, DT?
About 10%.
10%. But this is one of those instances where I'm optimistic. I think it's gonna bomb.
Yeah,
that thing is gonna bomb because everybody who was going to see James Bond was going to see it anyway. Now, what? Feminists weren't going to see James Bond. You know, they were going to go see it.
They have to do, they couldn't have the sports cars anymore, right? Because that hurts the climate. So would he be riding like a bicycle?
No,
he had on the bicycle.
He had an electric one the last time, didn't he?
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't see the last one. It's gonna bomb.
All the cool things about James Bond, I mean, they'd all have to be turned into something the left would agree with, and so the sports car would have to go. I mean, it has.
And the women are going to have. I did a study on the number of women James Bond banged each movie, and it's consistently gone down.
Going down. Okay.
Yeah, and Daniel Craig has the least one. Maybe I can even find it here. Let me see if I can't find it. It shows you. You know, now it's just becoming a Bourne Identity movie.
Yes.
All right, Jack Ryan. It's just it's another spy show.
It's supposed to be not real. It's supposed to be just real enough to draw you in, and then everything is exaggerated. It's a cartoon.
Here, is Bond having less sex? This is from 2015. I got the charts. Oh, these are some nice charts. instance of sex. I break it down by the number of times James Bond had sex.
You did this study.
I did this study going back to 1962, the number of times he had sex versus the number of women. And then I calculate average number of women and lays by actor. So
you actually did this?
Yeah, hang on, I'll post it. This is great. You guys will love this. This is wonderful.
Is it because you know the movies so well, or
no,
you
I
actually sat down and watched all of them with a notepad and said, "Oh, you just fucked her"?
No, I did not. No, I did not have that time. The data already existed.
Oh, okay. I was just imagining you watching all the movies and going, "Oh, you're muted. I can't hear you."
So what's happened, ever so generally, both the number of women and the instances of sex have gone down. Roger Moore, he must have, I mean, I know he's acting, but holy cow, he got laid 8 times one time. That's the highest number, 8 times. Between 3 women. And then you do average number of women and lays by actor. Who would George Lazenby?
He had one movie.
He had one movie, yeah, okay. But he banged the fuck out of women. He had he banged on average 3 women each movie and had 4 lays. Moore was at like 3.8 and 2.6. Connery 3.6 and 2.6. Dalton, he only had 2 women per thing, but he got 3.5 lays. Brosnan, more women, less lays. Craig, dead last. 1.6 women and only 2 lays.
That's why he's so angry.
That's why he's so pissed off, right? Roger Moore, scowling. He was just like, well, hey.
He's scowling all the time.
Yeah, but it just, oh well. Hang on, Josh sent $8. $8 from Josh Landrum. Answer think time question, the woman and weed and morning gents. All right, thanks, Josh. Let's go back to
Oh, okay. He's actually paying for somebody else's question.
He paid for somebody else's question. Where did it go? Oh shit, it was up there. Do you have it?
Yeah, I'll go look back here.
Look it up. Let me go. I got to gargle. My throat's going. Give me a sec. We'll come back.
I'll read it while you gargle. Yeah, it's the very first comment. Aaron, could you please elaborate on why you feel women shouldn't date men who consume marijuana even occasionally? What if everything else is right on point and they do it instead of drinking? So apparently Aaron has advised women to not date a man who consumes marijuana at all. And
you find it?
Yep.
Okay,
you want me to reread it again?
We'll go back down to Josh.
The audience knows it. So, but yeah, just why? Elaborate on why you feel women shouldn't date men who consume marijuana even occasionally. What if everything is right on point and they do it instead of drinking?
Well,
you've in the past have advised women to not date potheads at all.
Yeah, I don't know where I said if he occasionally does pot. Here's the thing: there's always a deal breaker between both men and women. You're not going to find the perfect girl. Girls are not going to find the perfect guy.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen. There's always going to be a flaw. So if the guy does occasionally has some pot, but has all of his other shit together, yeah, that's a quality guy. And you almost want a guy to have vice because, frankly, I don't trust a guy who doesn't have a vice. Because they do. It's just if on the face of it, they're not drinking or doing pot or something, then I'm worried because it's like something they got to hide, like diddling kids or keeping people chained down in their basement. You know, everyone's got a vice. Everybody. And, you know,
the whole thing. Yeah, if somebody looks too squeaky clean, there's probably something really bad.
Yeah. So if in this particular case, it's a guy who's got his act together and he occasionally does pot, fine. But if it's a pothead, I don't know how a girl can, unless she's a pothead too, or really dumb, that you can, I mean, because you've hung out with potheads before, right?
In college, I lived with 2 potheads.
They're worthless. You can't even, they're not functional. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them had ferrets for pets.
Yep.
and he just let the cage build up with shit.
Yeah.
And then so we cleaned out the shit. Me and the other sober guy cleaned out the shit and put it on his bed. Like, take care of your fucking shit. And it ended up just getting moved into the hallway. I mean, it was just, and I had to blow up at this guy eventually, just like, you're ruining your fucking life. You can't even take care of your fucking ferret shit. And I just totally laid into him.
But it didn't work because potheads, you're not talking to a human. This is one thing I learned with people who I've known in my life who are drug addicts and all that. It's not listening to them. They're not going to listen. You might as well not even talk to them.
But other than that, they were actually pretty good roommates to have in college, because I'd be sitting there doing my homework and I'd sniff, sniff, sniff. Oh, they're starting to do pot. But they just would watch a movie. They wouldn't.
Yeah, they're totally back.
They're just, they're completely, they're quiet. But they don't take care of themselves at all. And it was a gateway to other things. They started doing shrooms and LSD and stuff like that. And so I would say it is a gateway drug. People are always looking for the next high. And so but maybe it's different now with it being legalized, that once it's legal, it's like, oh, okay, I'm just doing this. I'm still just going to do legal stuff. But back in my day, it was illegal. And so once you start buying something illegally, it just opens the floodgates to, well, I'm buying this, I might as well try this.
Right.
Right. So.
No, it's not the worst thing, but if all of a sudden, if you're doing it every day,
right,
and it starts to affect your ability to clean up ferret shit, well, yeah, I think, I don't know. I guess the question to the guy, if he's smoking pot and he's like, what do you think about this? Well, if you can still get the girls and you're happy, then it's not affecting you. Maybe the love of your life is a gal who also likes to smoke pot.
Right.
I'm not to judge. I'm not saying everyone's got to be squeaky clean and go down the path of Ward Cleaver, but in general, yeah. If you're a pothead, don't expect to get a high quality girl. Look, the number of quality girls is already pretty damn slim. You're not doing yourself no favors being a pothead on top of it.
Well, isn't it the real question whether you're an addict or not? I mean, it's whether you're an alcoholic or not. If you have beer and can handle yourself, that's fine. If it doesn't affect your motivation, your discipline, your emotions, your tolerance for what, I mean, some people are angry drunks, some people are happy drunks. And,
some people are both.
Yeah. So it's it's how you handle it, I think. So
that's the problem. I didn't know what a highly functional alcoholic was until someone explained it to me, and then I realized why it's so dangerous. Because like if you're functional, you don't stop. Because you're like, I can keep that. And you're like, oh, then it really fucks you up. And it's like, so you gotta. All right, $2 from Troy Kostalecki. Afternoon, Cappy and DT. Good afternoon, Troy.
Thank you for the money. Thank you for the money.
I always see him as like hiking and climbing, because that's his image. That's his avatar. So I just picture him out there climbing all the time. He's probably sitting and listening. Nonstop, Dre. Do you want to hear a funny joke? No. Email me the joke, Dre. I don't want you posted it here. God almighty. Chris in Phoenix, when did you stop dressing up for Halloween? Well, that's a good question. You like Halloween, don't you, DT?
Yeah, I mean, there's two different questions. There's dressing up to go trick-or-treating, and then there's dressing up for Halloween, right? So once I stopped trick-or-treating, I'd still dress up and scare the shit out of kids at our house. We were the scary house.
Cool.
And it got progressively better and better every year.
Does not surprise me at all.
So I still dress up out at the kids' bus stop. One year I dressed up as Michael Myers and walked towards the bus, and the other year I was a Grim Reaper hiding behind the tree, and I always tried to do something fun for the kids on the bus. So I still
probably appreciate it. Yeah. I probably stopped dressing up, I don't know, 11 or 12. And then we just go trick-or-treating with regular clothes on. But you usually try to grab a neighborhood's kid to make it look like, but then you bring your bag because you were just trying to be a sponge and get free candy. And then, as an adult, I remember spending an inordinate amount of time sewing a ninja costume, and I had an actual katana mailed.
Cool.
And so that was cool. I went out and then, usually I will dress up if there's a good party to go to. I went as a Kingsman 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that because it's
to
easy.
to my party. You came up to my place.
Did we go up to your place?
Yeah, you came to
that's
Hunker
right.
Bun.
Yeah,
You came
yeah.
to DT's Compound 1.
And the GF was a cowboy, a Playboy bunny.
Yeah, and I was Snake Plissken.
You were Snake Plissken. Yeah. No, that was good. Yeah, that's right. We all did kind of. Yeah. The man was real excited to see the GF.
Yes, he was.
I think everybody else at the bar was too. But yeah, now I don't really go out. Like if it's easy, I'll do it. Like last year I went as a millennial. I got that shirt that says, "This is my millennial costume trophy, please." So I've done that for the past 2 years. Yeah, but I don't know. You got to come up with a real good idea.
When you have kids, it's easy to dress up because all the kids are dressing up, and you're like, "Well, I might as well dress up as something." So one year, I was pulling the kids' wagon as Michael Myers.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, up and down the streets with the mask and everything. And I had a flashlight too that had a flashing red on it, so I'd put it up and under the mask.
The friendly Michael Myers.
Yes.
Bubblegum Gun for $2. Do you watch J Reg's YouTube channel? 10 out of 10. J Reg? No, let's look him up. Sorry, old Captain's got a cold. I'm coughing more than normal. Reg J or J Reg?
J Reg.
J Reg.
JREG.
J Reg. J Reg, 113,000. Looks like he might be from my tribe. He gets great traffic. Looks a little zany. Oh yeah, he does political analysis and yeah, maybe I'd have to tune into it. I got enough where I'm already full. My podcast list is full.
It's interesting. I think podcasting is a bit like writing, or even music, where musicians and writers, I think they'll listen to some things, but they're not like huge consumers of, like, a writer is not going to be sitting there all day reading fiction, right?
No,
they're going to be writing fiction. And sometimes writers, they don't want to read too much stuff because then they think it'll affect their product.
I don't read because I'm lazy. That's the real reason.
But with podcasting, I really don't listen to very many podcasts at all.
Really?
Nope. I do not. I listen to Alex Jones during the day because I love his show, and he's kind of on the cutting edge and he's hilarious. And that's 3 hours, and it's like, well, that's kind of enough.
Yeah, 3 hours. That's enough. Yeah.
I'll listen while I'm working or whatever, and sometimes I'll tune into a podcast here and there if it comes across my Facebook feed. But I tend to not listen to a lot of podcasts because I want my own thing to be my own thing. I don't want to. I don't repackage other people's shit to put it on my podcast. I think there's a lot of people out there that repackage other people's stuff and present it as their own. And so to completely bypass all of that, the Black Brigade is the Black Brigade. And if I'm pulling on something else, I say it, or I'll say, go listen to this guy if you want to learn about that, because he knows his shit better than I would.
Right.
So
I don't think you have to worry about plagiarizing people's podcasts. But I'll tell you this. One thing I do, and I don't pull from, I mean, you can never say you're not influenced, but I don't tune into political podcasts. Like I tune into other stuff like The Dick Show, World Class Bullshitters, Beckloff, which is kind of political. I'll tune in. I've been listening to Turd Flinging Monkey because he's great on economics. That is economic and political. But then when he talks about the sex dolls, it's actually kind of funny and entertaining because it's just so different and zany. I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. There's something out there for everybody.
There's something out there for everybody. Yeah, but and then what's
I'm not worried about plagiarizing or whatever, but it's kind of like, I mean, the reason why I do the debrief is because every other talk show I'd listen to on Conservative Talk or whatever, they'd always approach the answer that I thought was the answer, but they'd never say it. They'd never go as far as I wanted them to.
Well, they're mainstream. They can't.
Yeah.
They can't.
And so the only place I hear what I say is me. It's kind of like I just don't hear it. I don't hear my message anywhere else really. And so I'm kind of keeping it that way. So.
Don't worry, no one else hears your opinion.
I know
either.
exactly. Exactly.
Think in time, he paid us $2 on top of the $8 that Josh paid us.
Oh, okay.
So we got even more money.
Boom.
Yeah. Nonstop Dre, $2. Are you ever going to do a drunk podcast, Aaron? Nope, never again. The health scare, even though I guess alcohol didn't play a role in it, scared me enough that I'm like, nope, never touching booze.
So if you do happen to do a drunk podcast, it's bad. It means you're dying, right?
If I'm ever drinking again, it's either I'm dying and it's terminal, or I've come to the point where I don't care to live a full life anymore, and I'm going to maximize my immediate enjoyment up front. So like the GF was gone. I think those would be about the only two things. Is like,
I mean, if I stopped talking to you, maybe.
No, I'd be tempted to have a drink, but I don't think I'd have a drink. But
it is not to that point yet.
No, it's like, no. If I'm drinking again, it's because I will be dying very soon, and it's like, fuck it, we might as well enjoy life. And you'll see a very hedonistic Cappy.
I went and visited my grandma one time, and she was on the phone with. She's like, "Oh, I gotta be on the phone here," and so she was in another room on the phone. I'm like, "Well, that's kind of weird." And then so I'm in her apartment by myself, and I look and I see that ashtray has cigarettes in it. What the fuck is going on? And I thought, holy shit, my grandma quit smoking a long time ago. Is she smoking again? She must be dying. Yeah. It wasn't. It was my cousin's.
Oh,
cigarettes.
He came over and smoked it.
So, but it is funny how if somebody isn't doing something and then all of a sudden it looks like they're doing it again, your first thought is they're dying.
Yeah. Nick Schulaner, who you can find at nickschulaner.com for all your digital marketing needs. If you want to advertise a product or a service, go to nickschulaner.com, spelled the way it's written up there on the thing. And he will do all your SEO optimization, all that good stuff. He says, good afternoon, gents. Good afternoon, Nick.
Hello.
Bearded for $2 again. He says, I'd like to listen to DT and Rob says, talk about, dude, you guys should, you know what Rob says?
No. Like I just said, I don't know anybody really.
Go, he Bearded's right. You two should totally get that. Now, Rob knows who you are to give you a little ego boost there.
Cool.
But go to robsays.net and download his podcast. Yeah, he is a metalhead, and you guys should totally. We should have you on a masculine geek podcast, and you guys could talk like
he'd probably put me totally to shame, though. You know, I'm a metalhead, but I'm not like a huge metalhead, I guess. I like what I like, and I don't like necessarily what's popular, so that does make me a little bit unique, but yeah. He'd probably put me to shame. He just runs circles around me.
Oh, Nick Schulander for $2 again. DT, time for a blood Shekels rack. You're not even look. DT can't do it unless he's like got a couple shots of scotch in him.
I've got one beer in me. Yeah.
It's not enough.
It's probably not. Yeah.
You're following along. You're paying attention. You're not interrupting me. You're stone sober. I could tell.
I'm a highly functioning alcoholic, Aaron.
No, you're not. Trust me, you're not an alcoholic. $5 for Prairie Rifle. That's it. That's all he did. Prairie Rifle. Is that a website?
Hang
on.
Just gave you $5. Here you go.
Prairie Rifle. No, I thought it was a website. No, it's just that's his name. Prairie Rifle. $2 from Nonstop. $2 from Nonstop Dre again. Batwoman TV series Bomb 2. There was a Batwoman?
Yeah, I don't know if it's still going or not, but yeah. She's a lesbian and
Wait. Really? Okay, Batwoman was enough. They made her a lesbian?
Yeah, they made her a lesbian. Yep.
Hang on. Who played her?
It's just it's not interesting anymore.
Wow.
You know, it's just 3.1
out of 10. Oh, she's a redhead, of course. Kane's daughter.
Well, I mean, I think that's part of the costume is the red head on the bat suit or whatever.
You know what I'm going to start taking women and minorities and the creative arts, you know, like Hollywood and the movies seriously. You know, I'm going to take them seriously.
When they actually start doing their own shit.
When you start creating your own shit. This is like the women who they had the all-female spacewalk. Did you hear about that?
Right. Yep.
That's not built 100% off the back of male engineering, math, and labor.
Did they drop any bags of tools to just go floating off into space? Just like they've done before?
Why don't you do it's always the first woman too. You've already lost. You're not the first one. Obviously, a man did it before. The first Hispanic that. Too late. Somebody already did it before you. I want to see the first person to XYZ, and it's a woman. Then I'll tip my hat. But a bunch of vaginas being shot up on a rocket built by male technology invented fucking 60 years ago, and you're all proud and raw and twiddling each other's twat. Fuck you. You did nothing. You got on a ship using technology men did and did this shit. I mean, how many decades ago?
Right.
How many decades? And admittedly understood.
And made it foolproof.
Cultural expectations were different. Women weren't, you didn't go into ash. Okay, I got that. Now that Gen X is the first full generation where it's women can do anything men can do, when are you women and other minority, other groups, start doing it.
Right.
Start fucking doing it and start doing shit nobody's done before. Because if you're the first group of person X to do X, Y, and Z, then group of person Y did it before you, and I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. And Batwoman. Oh, Jesus. What?
Well, there's so many. I saw a post come across my Facebook feed where it's like the story about, I don't know, some black guy that took over a slave ship and then used it to free slaves and all. And it's like, why the hell hasn't this been made into a fucking movie? It's just like
Bass Reeves. You ever hear of Bass Reeves?
No.
First U.S. Marshal who was a black guy. He was over on the Wild West. Did they make a movie about that guy? No.
Right. The history is rich, and there's all these awesome little corners and nooks and crannies of it with great stories, and they just recycle the same old shit all over and over again. Slavery. Oh, this is about a slave. This one's about this slave over here.
How bored do you think the young black kids are nowadays? And of our generation too, when Black History Month came up, like, gee, I wonder if we're going to talk about Rosa Parks and MLK again.
Right.
Oh, I wonder if they're going to drag, it was like when I was in parochial school, we had to go through Bible history. We're going to talk about Exodus. It's like, oh, fuck, the Jews escaping Pharaoh again. The story doesn't change. And then meanwhile, you got these cool ass motherfuckers, even people alive today, like Ben Carson. Hello.
Right.
Maybe something. No, it's always activists, poets, activists, poets, authors, activists. Maybe a musician. Maybe you get really risky and we talk about Duke Ellington and the kids are allowed to have a little bit of fun. Fuck otherwise. No, it's like, they wrote a poem and Maya Angelou and she did a thing and it fought the oppressors. It's like, dude, this guy commandeered and took over a Confederate ship.
Yeah.
Floated it up to the Union, and the guy ended up becoming a congressman later on.
Right, yeah.
We don't want to talk about that guy. That might be interesting.
We don't want you to be proud of your history. We want you to just feel like victims all the time.
Just have like victims the entire time. Oh, wait. I skipped up Nonstop Trade. Oh, no, we did do that one. Yeah, Batwoman. God almighty. It's just... See, and hey... Don't tell me you can't come up with anything creative. You look at shows that came out in the 80s. How creative was it? You had Knight Rider. You had MacGyver. You had the Dukes of Hazzard. You had movies, Back to the Future. You had all this creativity. They're just too fucking lazy to create their own shit.
Right, exactly.
And if you came up with an original, female superhero or an original Hispanic something or other, I mean, and it shouldn't even be Hispanic this. It should be, hey, here's a guy like Blade. Remember Blade?
Right, yeah.
Blade's okay. Great. Yeah, there we go. People watch that. Wonder Woman.
Yeah, there was From Dusk Till Dawn, the television series. That was kind of cool, which is basically Hispanics.
Was it Hispanic?
Yeah, it's Robert Rodriguez. And he turned his movie From Dusk to Dawn into a television show, and it was pretty good.
Cool.
I don't know if it's still on, but
but did he get billions in financing? Did he?
No, he runs his own. He's got his own movie house. He he runs everything himself.
It's just so fucking, and even the Joker movie, everyone's like, oh, the Joker, it's this great movie. No, it's a fucking remake.
It's just recycled. Yeah.
Jesus, can you come up with a new, and I have a character in mind. There's a comic book I want to write, but it would make a good movie. But apparently no one's buying it. Apparently no one wants it. If it hasn't been made in the past, we can't do it today.
Right. Well, they want the sure thing. Yeah.
All right. Red Pillar say don't get married and have kids. You and Rich Cooper say you can get married and have kids. Just be cautious. I'm conflicted. You got to pick the right gal. I personally won't have kids because I think it's too high of a risk, and I never thought I could afford them. In an ironic sense, I guess I could afford them now, but you don't want to use me as a barometer. My background is not normal. Rich has kids. Everybody I know who has kids, Terrence Pop who has kids, they love their kids. They would have never done it differently. So I would follow Rich Cooper's advice before you follow mine on this. But you can get married and you can have kids. Just be cautious. I would say you don't get married in the eyes of the state. You have your personal ceremony between you and your pastor or your cleric or whatever, or you make your commitments to one another, and that's a commitment that you and your loved one have to each other. If you want to have kids, you can have kids. But I would say if you have to have a policy and you're not sure, don't do either, because the risks are just too high. And the world that we live in today, and we'll be living in the future, is going to be shit. Mm-hmm. It is going to be shit.
Well, I would just add to that nothing is for sure. I mean, you could have the perfect woman and the perfect marriage contract, right? And you're like, okay, right. I'm ready to have kids, and you have kids, and your kids have health problems. There's just nothing. Right. It's never a sure thing. Getting married is not trusting in chaos, but having children is trusting in chaos. You're just kind of taking the leap. You're never ready. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. If you have the right perspective going into it, it's got a much higher chance of being successful because, you don't have stars in your eyes. You don't have unrealistic expectations. And if you can find a woman that is like that, doesn't have unrealistic expectations, you are going to be able to react to the chaos that is marriage and having children effectively.
I'd also say have money. That's another thing.
That would be good.
Because, I know you'll get all the government help in the world, but if you look at it, people who have money, you're not worried about shit like, God, am I going to be able to eat? Whereas if you're collecting a welfare check or you're on WIC and you're just spitting out kids, look at every poor community in the United States. You can look at the barrio, you can look at the ghetto, you can look at the trailer park. It's miserable. They got all the government money being thrown out. They're fucking miserable. Yeah. And okay, fine. You see a rich couple get divorced. Well, their kids aren't starving. The husband, he may have gotten taken for half. He ain't starving either. That's
about leverage. Sure. You don't want to have anything have leverage on you. You don't want to you want to make decisions because you think it's the right thing to do. You don't want to make a decision like, oh, are we going to lose our welfare check?
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. Sam Whiskey for $4.99. Husbands used to take their wives to an Elvis concert so the wife can get kissed on lips by Elvis. Really? Could they even get to Elvis? Or is this when he was younger and not as popular?
This might be back to where he wasn't as popular and it was a little bit more of an intimate concert like we were talking about before. A smaller concert's more fun.
Yeah. Remember the Vulcans?
Yes.
Where... Now, a lot of people don't know this, but St. Paul has the St. Paul Winter Carnival, and it happens in January. It's very cold. It's a way to break up the horrors of Minnesota winter. And there's these guys, they still exist today. They're called the Vulcans, and they wear these red jumpsuits, and they have Snidely Whiplash mustaches, and they have goggles and red fireman's hat, and they drive around, what is it, an old 1949 fire truck?
Yeah, it's something like that.
And they'll ding the bells, and all they do is it's this elite group of guys, and you got to get into the club. And they just go to different bars in St. Paul and they get hammered. And what you would hope is because they had these mustaches, they were mascara mustaches drawn on their faces. And they just grab women and kiss them. And then you'd get smeared with the mascara. So if you went home like, did you get kissed by a Vulcan? And the wife would say, yeah, he came up and just gave me a kiss and went. And it was great. You wanted to be kissed by a Vulcan. Well, then sure enough, some Gen X or millennial Kuantahaha, maybe even a baby boomer, took offense or it was sexual. And that was the end of it. Now they'll draw a mustache on you.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
that's what it is.
I didn't know the history. I didn't know the history of that. I remember when they caught a lot of flack.
Because all you broads just
can't have fun anymore.
Can't have fun anymore. Why can't you find a man? Why can't you? Nope. You get to have it drawn on your face. How fucking splendipity yippity. All brought to you by the left, by the way. This isn't some prudish Christian mother. It was all leftists. All leftists are anti-fun.
How much do you bet these husbands that took their wives to get kissed by Elvis got lucky that night?
Well, what do you think they were doing? They didn't take him to get him kissed. Like, yeah, kiss him.
Right.
Of course. Nonstop Dre 360. What your vice is? Mine is I'm too stoic and detached. It's not a vice. A vice should be fun. My vice is obviously alcohol. Now it's nothing. It fucking sucks. There's I guess hiking and adventuring, that's my vice. But
I don't even know what mine would be. I mean, I don't.
Yours is sloth. Yours is sloth. You are sloth.
I'm not lazy.
You are. No, you're not lazy, but you have sloth. You've been there how long and you didn't do any you went up M Hill, the little one across the street.
We went around what's that not Sheridan Lake, the other lake. We walked around that, and a couple lake, Horseshoe Lake, we walked around that, and
that's half a mile.
Yeah, like I said, the kids don't like the long walks yet. Yeah, we're trying to get them liking the short walks before we start taking them on the long walks. So
yours is sloth. I could tell that. Mine would be what's gluttony? Is that it? Where you consume too much of something?
Yeah, that's gluttony.
Yeah. So would vices then be one of the 7 deadly sins? Wouldn't that generally be?
Well, they would play into the 7 deadly sins. I mean,
7 deadly sins.
I would a vice would be a part of one of those sins.
7 deadly sins.
Like I'm not slothful, but maybe I'm too laid back. I don't know.
Okay.
I like just lounging around. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Lust. I don't know how that's bad. I mean, you want to lust after your wife or girlfriend, right?
Yeah, but if you're, I think lust means it means adultery. It means
why don't they say adultery then? That's different than lust. Everybody has lust.
Right.
Gluttony,
no, back in the day when the 7 deadly sins were created, that was bad. Sexual desire was bad, right?
Still is, according to all the Christians. Gluttony, we got that one. Greed, so theft. Sloth, laziness. Wrath. Oh, never mind. Okay, there's my.
That's your.
Never mind. There's your answer there, Dre 360. It's wrath. I take that back.
But I mean, a vice is something that you like that you feel guilty about liking.
Oh, envy, pride. Yeah. God, yeah. I guess my vice was booze, and my 7 deadly sin is wrath. I guess they're not perfectly analogous. They don't correlate. They don't Venn diagram 100% over another.
Yeah, I like lounging around, watching horror movies, and drinking beer.
And coffee.
Don't forget coffee. Yeah. But I'm not fat and I'm not out of shape.
Nick Schulander, I have no vices. How do I develop some? You got to have a vice. I mean, I don't know. You can watch porn, I guess, is a vice. What are things we're not supposed to do? Drink, porn, live at home, sleep, laziness. I mean, how about your guitar there? He's got his guitar up. Are you a good guitar player? If you're not a good guitar player, then that could be considered a vice because your band's not going to make it. So I guess you enjoy it, but it's a complete waste of time.
Maybe a vice is something that like you spend too much money on that you shouldn't. I mean, like playing video games could be a vice.
That could be a vice, yeah.
And if you're going to, if you're buying all kinds of metal music and going to metal concerts all the time when you don't have enough money, that could be a vice.
You buy too fancy of a sports car and got to get all the doodads and whistles. Yeah, I could see that.
I guess it's something you shouldn't be doing, but you do it anyway because you love it.
One could call that a hobby too.
Yeah, but a hobby, if you're financially responsible, wouldn't be a vice. It would just be a hobby. But if you're Like, it's like, well, the kids, I'm buying them shitty clothes, but I go out and golf every weekend. That would be a vice, right?
Yeah. Okay, from Ice Snows, 556. I'm contributing to a nonprofit. It's called Shekels for Cappy. You are my own personal guru, my rabbi, my shaman. Yes, I am all those things. Go buy my books. Take in the wisdom. Hire Asshole Consulting. What?
I've asked you this before. What nonprofit could you start legitimately and make money on?
I could start absolutely. I could start
that you'd agree with.
That I'd agree with.
Yeah, that you would agree with doing.
A fundraiser, like a funding charity for men who are coming from, I don't want to say just generally disadvantaged, but men who came from broken homes or were raised by single moms. I would start a school like Cappy Camp. We've talked about it before, but it's like, here are the lessons. Here's the shit your mother's not going to tell you because she's a mom. She's female. She doesn't know. And your dad is fucking gone, or he's a fucking pussy and he's a cuck and he doesn't dare tell you that. Like, it'd be a man camp.
I got a nonprofit,
legit
for you.
Nonprofit I could do.
I got one for you that's simpler than that.
All right.
That strikes right at the heart of one of your things that annoys you the most. You start a nonprofit advocating for telecommuting.
That'd be something I could do.
Or you could do presentations to companies showing how,
But here's
it would help their bottom line, and you take contributions to try to help with you could fake it and say, well, this also helps with climate change. But yeah.
Here's my question: who would that benefit?
Well, for the nonprofit, you'd pay yourself a nice.
Oh, I see. I pay myself
sum of money.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But
and then hopefully you'd be able to drive around town more because the commute would be less, or the commuting time period would shorten if you're successful enough.
With Cappy's Man Camp, all the boys I'm helping out there, I know I either like or I respect or they deserve it. I kind of like the sheep queuing up. No, I do. These fucking assholes.
I get it.
What all you think? Okay. What was it?
I get it.
When whatever, take your group, Black Lives Matter, farts for the environment, whatever. They go and they block the interstate downtown, or they throw a protest, whatever, downtown. Who are they inconveniencing?
People who don't deserve to be. Well, I guess
leftists. The leftists. Right. People shit in the streets of San Francisco. Who are those bums bothering?
Right. Yeah. If it's downtown, yeah.
Yeah. And let's take politics out of it. You're lining up to go do your commute, and so you do vote Republican, but you're still a sheep and you're still a moron. You think you're great because you got your MBA. Fuck you. Right. I want you to commute. I want you to queue up at those meters. I want you to pay $15 for parking. I want you to work yourself to an early. Why would I help those people? They've never fucking helped me.
Yeah, they don't have the self-respect to say no.
Well, they've only gotten in my way. They've only gotten in my way. And all I've caught is flack from those people. So fuck them. No, I'll help people that actually need it and make the money. But yeah, telecommuting. But here's the thing. That is such a no-brainer right now. Budgets are tight, infrastructure's crumbling down, or it's getting older. We're not keeping up with the population in terms of the miles of road that we're building. Uh-huh. It is such a simple solution that other people would and should have gone and promoted this, and all these really good feel corporations are like, we try to work out work-life family balance. They would have promoted that in their policies. If they're not going to do it now when it's this painfully obvious, what's a nonprofit going to do? Hi, can I talk to you about Jesus? I mean, the benefits of telecommuting. They're not gonna sign up.
You're poo-pooing my idea. It's so simple. It'd be so simple and so easy, and you'd get money for it.
It would be easier to raise the money. You know what? That might be easier to raise money for. Because who wants to commute?
Especially if you say it's to help the environment.
Well, yeah, but who wants to
commute? Get all the Sierra, all these other big, huge nonprofits would give you a little taste if you go around and try to get people to get out of their vehicles during commuting times.
Maybe that's why they don't want to do it, because then global warming would have ended.
Right.
Then it'd be like, what are we going to complain about? What else? Bold design. I'll show these. You're writing a comic book. That's fucking dope, Cappy. I want to write a comic book. I don't have an artist. And people who have sent me, hey, I could be your. There's one guy who's all right. But most of them have been shit artists, and I need an artist. Nonstop Dre, $5. Imagine a movie or TV series where a loving, feminine, attractive, happy married housewife secretly is a superhero like Tony Stark or Batman. Thoughts? That'd be cool. Wasn't that? No. You ever watch the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
I never watched it. No.
You are aware of it though, right?
Yes. Yeah. Will Smith. Yeah.
So one of the cooler episodes, it came out that the mom was a Harlequin romance writer, and nobody knew. And she was like making all this money because the husband, the dad, was a judge, Judge Banks, right? Remember any of this coming back to you?
No, I know of the show. I know the opening intro. I know it was, he wore all those colorful suits. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so it could work, but
isn't that sort of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Yeah. I mean, they both didn't know they were spies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could work.
I don't any like a sequel to True Lies. That's sort of the same thing where
but here's the problem with that. It's the same story, because like Bruce Wayne, you're swapping out Bruce Wayne and you're swapping out a costume. I want something completely new and different. Hey, a Pontiac Trans Am that talks to you. All right, I'm sold. Let's go. All right, but it's too similar to Batman and Iron Man.
Well, and that's that. There was the movie Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis, where it was basically the Bourne Identity before the Bourne Identity,
right? And she had amnesia.
Yep, and so there were some good jokes in that from Samuel Jackson, where he's like, "Oh, I burned the damn muffins, and now you're killing people or whatever." So she was kind of the perfect housewife, and then kicked ass. So
$5 from Pimp Daddy. I like to bring my wife to baseball games. I kiss her between the strikes, and she kisses me between the wait. Never mind.
Is that the joke? Is that the joke that Dre wanted to share?
Intro.
Yeah.
Who's this asshole? Who's this guy?
He's a cave dweller.
Yeah, he's a cave dweller. $2 from our good buddy Atham. I'm guilty of lust and, believe it or not, wrath. Did you know he had anger problems at one time?
No, he doesn't seem. I've only heard him the one time on your podcast.
He should write a book. He really could. Because I've met him in person. We've hung out several times. He's as Cool Hand Luke. Does not get angry at all. At one time, he would get so angry he would throw up. That's how angry he was. Okay. And he turned that shit around to be one of the most stoic, calm men I know today.
Well, that's the thing, but that's the problem with even keel. And I would call myself an even keel person. I don't really get up and I don't really get down. But when the anger builds up, holy shit, when that blows, it blows. And so that's what I've gotten a lot better with that. I mean, I broke my hand on a wall. So,
well, you have reason. I mean, people should listen to that podcast where you talk about what your daughter went through.
Yeah,
that right there will give you. I'd put that episode on par with the Great Ones podcast about the sterile life. I mean, it's dark, it's macabre, but it's true.
And yeah, I literally hit the wall. I mean, it was, yeah. So, but it's better now.
Good. $4 from Sam. This is for the Andrew Yang Thai Fund. What's the Thai Fund? Andrew Yang's got a Thai Fund?
I don't know. I mean, he's that Democrat guy that wants to do the GMI.
He's that guy who, by the way, for anyone listening, he's never ran a business. He's only ran nonprofits. He's gotten all of his money from other people, and his parents were rich. He's the biggest fucking pussy there is out there.
So, fuck his ties.
Fuck his ties. Have his dad and mom who came over from was it Thailand?
I wonder if is he selling ties maybe for his.
Who gives a shit? What all he has to do is go run to mom and dad or the government.
Right.
That's where he's gotten all of his fucking money.
Right.
Gee, and then he supports BGI and you dipshit millennials and Gen Zers. He's the most brilliant man ever. Other people's money. Who would have come up with that?
I did a podcast on GMI. It's come up again lately. I sent it to somebody else via Facebook. where I did do the math, and it seems like it could work, but you had to get rid of every single government welfare program out there. You have to replace every single one of them.
I'm for that because you know what's going to happen? All the dumb poor people are going to piss through it on the first week.
Right.
And you absolutely need them to starve and suffer for the remainder of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I even got down to the point where it's like, well, let's give them the money at winter so they don't all die. You know, like they have money,
right.
And then at least it's spring and summer they run out. Well, at least they're not dying of cold. And then maybe by the time the next winter comes around, they'll have found a job.
But just imagine all that overhead of all the people that are employed to basically be the go-between for government money from the government to poor people. All those jobs would be gone.
It
would be revolutionary. It would be revolutionary, but there's no way it would ever happen like that, because once you get into the details like something like that, everybody's sacred cow that's getting gored.
Yeah.
You know?
What would all the women do when they don't have to take care of other women's children that they went to school to learn that they abandoned their own children to take care of other women's children? Maybe they go back and take care of the children.
Right.
Ice Knows for 556 says, say, Cappy, are you allowed to share the details of the time you told off Chad's GF's cuddle wookums? Like to hear the details on that one. Yeah, I could tell it.
Maybe you should wait till Chad's on the show to do that one.
No, he told it. He told it in all the detail there was when he told it. There wasn't really any more details to say. All it was is, I'll give you the top. This is nothing that hasn't been said. I met her and him at a bar in Chicago. Everything was going great, and I showed a picture of my girlfriend to her. And the picture I had on my phone, she's my GF is in lingerie. I'm like, that's my girlfriend. And then everything seemed to be going fine, and she wasn't nude, but it was just tasteful. And then I get an email from his girlfriend saying, I kind of find that degrading. Why is a picture of your girlfriend in a physical state? Why isn't she at work or something like that? And I'm like, oh, fuck. What is this? Like, why? And I'm like, well, no, she gave me this picture and I like the way she looks physically, and on top of it, she makes a lot more money than me. I mean, she's, but I like looking at a pretty girl. Well, that's wrong. And then she literally told Chad that he couldn't hang out with me. And he called me one time. I can't believe she says I can't hang out with. Well, it turns out she is a raging, indoctrinated feminist.
Okay.
I mean, social justice. Spoil little daddy's girl. Daddy paid for everything. I mean, the epitome of what the Clarey test was created for. Like, this is the last person you want running for public office. All right. This is just a spoiled, worthless human. I mean, it has no value at all to society. None. Well, then they got back together. Then they ended up living together. And they were going to bury the hatchet. So to make it all, let's have peace, she sent me this olive branch of an email that had arsenic, acid, toxic waste, and thorns all over it. And it was like this. I understand, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like an insult wrapped up in an olive branch. And I understand you're not going to, be at my level, and you're going to have your bigoted or sexist ideas, but Chad really likes you, and I'm willing to respect it. And then that's when old Cappy gave the order. He gave himself a promotion to admiral. He took over the fleet. He says, all right, everyone bearing 90 degrees left. And we move all the battleships and all the destroyers and all the cruisers. I say, aim all guns to that one Kuantahaha over there. And I let off an email that was the most devastating email. And Chad told me on the podcast the other time, it ended up making her cry.
Oh, wow.
And I sent Chad an email after I sent that one. I said, hey, I just made your life a lot easier. And I remember, and all I did was tell the truth. I'm like, you are worthless. You're spoiled. You'd be nothing without your dad. You're a mockable, hypocritical feminist. At least real feminists would support themselves. You have no degree. You work the shitty ass. I think she's a barista or something like that. You're parasiting off of Chad. You'll never make it on your own. And what's worse is you damn well know it. And you dare come up to me, someone who's obviously superior, who's never taken a dime from his parents or the government. I mean, I just
and fucking
lit into her.
She's nitpicking.
Oh, so everything hit. And I'm glad I made her cry. I didn't know that. So at least she knows. That's the thing. She knows it's all true. And then Chad caught hell for it. It was great. This is wonderful because it wasn't me.
I'll be honest. When you unlocked your phone one time and I was sitting right next to you and I look over and I saw that picture and I kind of went, oh, Cap, and just kind of shook my head. That was my, I thought,
what's wrong with having a picture?
It's a little weird, but it's a little weird having it as
my girlfriend, my phone. I can do whatever the hell I want.
But it's what everybody sees when you open.
Well, maybe people shouldn't be snooping over on my phone, huh?
Well, you can't help it. I mean, when you're in a dark
maybe
car
I
or whatever,
brag a little bit, like
the
light
turns on. So I was just like, that's just Cappy.
That's Cap. That's right. That's right.
That's the proper response.
That's my phone.
Yeah.
I'm a goddamn American. That's my girlfriend. I'm gonna have a picture of my girlfriend in lingerie on my goddamn phone. You damn right.
You don't need to make your opinions known on everything. I mean, it's like choose your battles type of thing.
I don't have any shit.
And I'm not saying I disagreed with it. I just kind of laughed and shook my head. I'm just kind of like, yeah, there's Cap. That's his splash page.
He likes sex and big tits. Oh my God, heaven forbid. Let's do the sponsors real quick. MGTOW's Guide to Retiring on $200,000 in Southeast Asia. You can only find this book at MGTOWbooks.com. You go there, MGTOWbooks.com. Written by Luca Vendetti. If you use Aaron, you get 10% off on your promotion code there. You type in Aaron, A-A-R-O-N. Not A-R-O-N, not A-R-R-O-N. It's double A, Ron. That's
the biblical Aaron. Biblical.
If anyone remembered Bible class or Bible study. Also, you could go to nickschulander.com. We talked about that if you have any digital marketing needs. You can help out the podcast and me by going to olderbrother.com. Even though this is the Clarey Podcast, you can go to olderbrother.com/donate. And there's 3 ways you could do that. There is the PayPal link. You just donate money. You don't get anything in return. There's the Patreon link. Click on that. It'll take you to my Patreon page. You can become a patron member and you get access to the behind the wall material, including Mary Jo's pinups, Sanity is the Future of Wealth, and my road trip podcast, which is me just randomly podcasting when I have the spare time. It's not anything great, but if you want to listen to stuff, you got that there. There's my paper available on Amazon. It's called Privatizing Governments. If you are an economist or you're interested intellectually in politics and economics, that's a very short read. It is just a paper. It's only $3, I think, on Kindle. But you can check that out, Privatizing Governments. Some people have responded positively to that. So I wanted to mention that. You never know what people like. The School of Error is written by our good friend, Dr. David Perodin, who you could find at safetyphd.com. He has his podcast, he has his blog, and he is a safety expert specifically as it pertains to the safety of your children in the schools. Get his book, The School of Errors, if you actually care about the safety of children in schools. If you don't and you just want to masturbate and be a good little virtue signal, then you could just repeat, Democrat talking points and say, we need to get rid of all guns. AssholeConsulting.com if you guys need help. You got a question on anything that an older brother can answer, go to assholeconsulting.com, where I, the world's only professional asshole, will give you the swift kick in the ass you so desperately need and are going to pay money for. And it was DT. Would you have used Asshole Consulting when you were younger?
I was stupid. I should have.
Yes, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, I should have.
And
definitely.
Back then, did the internets or did the Asshole Consultings ever exist?
Nothing like that. That's how you get you young men today have it so good. You don't even know. Well, some ways you have it bad, but some ways you have it bad.
Yeah. Look, Asshole Consulting wouldn't exist if they had it good. They wouldn't need my help, but it is bad. So
things always sucked. Things always sucked. We just understand why they suck now, and they suck worse.
And now for $30, $40, $50, you can avoid a huge mistake like majoring in stupid shit, choosing the wrong girl. I had this kid. I can't mention he wanted anonymous. He definitely needed my help. And I charged him $50, and it was absolutely worth it because going forward, I can tell you this much. DT, have you ever fretted long term about asking a girl out?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. How long did your fretting last?
Well, until you ask them out, I guess.
Well, yeah, but what's the longest time you went where you wanted to ask out a girl and then you tortured yourself until the point in time you asked her out?
I was a total fucking hornball loser. So, it would be
was.
Yeah, was. It was could be weeks sometimes, maybe longer.
Weeks. All right.
Yeah.
This guy went years.
Well, years, maybe not. But
okay. Well, I'm just saying he went years torturing himself about hemming and hawing and asking this girl out.
And he never did.
And he never did. And I basically said, stop being a fucking pussy and never ever do that to yourself again. Because all that time, energy, and effort and pain and suffering over 6 years, as opposed to, hey, do you want to go out? No, get away from me, creep. Okay.
Well, and you miss all the other opportunities too.
And you missed all. Yeah. Right. So it's worth the 50. Well, it's not even 50. That one's cheap. If it's an easy one, you're talking $20, $25. A little more difficult, gets a little bit more expensive. But let's say it's $100 to learn that shit because your dad's not around or no one fucking told you. It is so worth the money. So if you have a question or you're confused about something or need some guidance or direction and you don't have anyone else like your mom, God almighty, don't talk to your mom. If you're a young man, do not ask your mother for advice. Okay. No. You have to go to your dad. If you don't have your dad or your dad is a fucking cuck, then come to me. And for an affordable price, I will prevent you from making mistakes that are in the 10 to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mistakes in your future. And it is true. So just go to assholeconsulting.com and get your life straight with a little swift kick ass from your older brother. The Science of Mastering Women, written by Linda Gross. You can check her out at the Men's Advocate Show. Her book, The Science of Mastering Women, is very methodical. It is highly rated, 50 reviews, and it's like a 4.5 stars. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good testimony. Find that on Amazon.com, paperback and Kindle. The Pence Principle, that's basically how not to get accused falsely of rape. And if you do, to have the proof that you never have to go through what Randy Bentwick's the author. Brett Kavanaugh went through. Justice Kavanaugh
Supreme Court Justice.
Court Justice. You want filthy Democrats. You want to talk about just fucking despicable people.
That was the start of a new era, I think. That was the start. That was the start of a whole new level of filth underneath the filth that Democrats already were. I mean, that was the start of a whole new tunnel towards hell.
And I really quickly found out who I could trust in my Facebook friends and friends in general. Like, if you're that dumb to believe this old washed up hey Kawantaha, this lying sack of shit, and you actually believe, if you're dumb enough to believe all women without proof, excuse me, hello, then I knew who.
Well, and attack and try to ruin this guy's life over it. That was. I mean, you could maybe be like, well, I'd like to understand the situation a little bit more. That's being reasonable, or at least giving the benefit of the doubt. But these people just tried to ruin this guy's life.
Yep.
And just was don't get me started.
Disgusting. Then we have academiccomposition.com. Go to academiccomposition.com. If you would like to have somebody else write your college papers for you, it's perfectly all right because corporations outsource all their menial tasks. Hell, a lot of your professors didn't write their own papers. I'll guarantee you that.
They don't grade them.
They don't grade them, yeah. So go to academiccomposition.com and have Alex and his crack team of writing staff write your papers for you. Alex is also always looking to hire writers and marketers. So if you're looking for a job, go to academiccomposition.com, contact Alex, tell him Cappy sent you, and that way he keeps advertising on the show. I'll go through the rest of the stuff later.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if that Alex guy is partially responsible for the increase in leftist nonsense in colleges? Like, he writes those papers so well. He writes them so well that when you hand them in, the professors are like, oh, yeah, I guess my propaganda is catching on. I'm going to try to even go further with it.
I'm looking.
It's all his fault. It's all his fault.
Ice Gnomes wants to know what the size of the guns were on the Yamato, the Japanese battleship. They were 18.1 inch. Those are the largest one, 18.1 inch guns. Almost as big as these, baby.
People really want me to do a blood shekels rant. Yeah.
Well, we'll get there. Sound like a good time for blood. He's got to be in the spirit, and he has to have some spirit.
And it's nice outside. I kind of want to.
Yeah, it's nice outside. DT's got to stay indoors because I'm not gluttonous. I'm not slothy. How far are you going to walk down to the mailbox?
I already told you I'm exploring the property.
Your property's not that big.
Yeah, but it's treacherous.
All right. Well, got a couple articles here for you. And you're going to they all three have something in common, and I think you're going to guess it.
Okay.
But here, did you hear about the St. Paul Public School that's over its construction overages? It's over budget. This is not its total, it's over budget by 179 million.
This is hilarious. Yep.
At a St. Paul school board meeting Tuesday night, board members learned their $500 million, that's $500 million, 5-year facilities plan was significantly over budget.
3 years in. 3 years in, right?
3 years in. $500 million is high. That's a lot of money. That's a big program. Consultant Chapel Jordan of Jacobs Engineering told the board. Jordan said the district overages totaled $179 million just 3 years into the 5-year plan. He said things were added to school projects that couldn't be accommodated with the allocated money. Do we have to go any further than saying you're dealing with leftists, you're dealing with teachers, you're dealing with assholes, leftists, cocksuckers who've never worked a real job in their lives, and they just think they can add shit to it because they've never paid for shit in their lives. Is that generally what we could say about this?
Yeah. And this, this is sort of up my alley because it's engineering, and it sounded like a lot of their overages were due to the fact that they didn't understand what exactly was going on in these facilities.
Who didn't understand? The builders or the
like the builders and the engineers. It's like there were site issues and complications with construction and stuff like that, and so that's just poor engineering. That's just poor investigation. I guess they did not include contingencies, but contingencies are tops 20% of your, if you've just done the bare amount of investigation, you add a 20% contingency to your budget to make sure, because you're going to run across stuff that that are unforeseen. They didn't have a contingency, but $179 million of a 500. And I'm sure they haven't done the full 500 yet. Yeah.
That's 40%.
Exactly. So it's well beyond, this is incompetence. So for sure.
All right. But it's on the part of the engineers.
Well, or the sometimes these boards will hire people that tell them what they want to hear.
Are you saying these board members hire people they might even know?
Maybe that too.
Like what was it? PFE or PGE? There was that Pacific Educational Consultant Group out in California, and they were getting millions of dollars from the St. Paul Public Schools. It turns out like one of them was a buddy of like a principal or a board member or something.
We're not saying that here. That could be part of the problem.
I just.
But it's a lot of times, city councils and boards and things like that, they'll hire the engineer that tells them what they want to hear, and that's why that kind of civil engineering field is such bullshit, because to get ahead, you kind of have to not be ethical. Okay. And so this does not surprise me at all. Somebody got the contract because they told the board what they wanted to hear. Oh yeah, you're going to be able to do all these great things for this amount of money. And when if an engineer worth their salt probably was telling them something differently.
Okay. So that's the St. Paul Public Schools.
Mm-hmm. The coffee's good.
The coffee's good. San Francisco residents buy boulders, place them on sidewalk to thwart homeless tents. Remember
San Francisco?
I tell you, I don't care. You voted it the fuck in. Fuck you. I'm glad you have to spend money on
That's
boulders.
hilarious. So the boulder market is booming in San Francisco.
Well, have you seen it completely negates the point of a bench, but in some of these cities, they've started putting like golf ball size, like you cut a golf ball in half and they put these bumps on park benches.
Really?
So the homeless won't sleep on them.
And everybody else wanting to sit on them is uncomfortable.
And no one can sit on them.
People are carrying around.
See
pillows.
how smart our municipal leaders are. They're just so smart. Residents of a San Francisco side street are so fed up with tents pitched on the sidewalk by homeless people that they have trucked in boulders to discourage camping. About 24 of the massive rocks, each weighing hundreds of pounds, create barriers on a half-block stretch of Clinton Park, a side street off Market and Dolores streets. The boulders don't block the sidewalk, but do limit the space available for tents. Neighbor David Smith Tan, see, hyphenated name. It's all leftist, guys. It's all laziness.
Yeah.
Lazy fucks end up paying in the end. Told KTVU that his family received a letter from the neighborhood about a month ago addressing the sidewalk problem. A bunch of my neighbors, we all chipped in a few $100s, and I guess this is what they came up with, he said. Smith Tan said the area is frequented by drug users who shoot up and stay overnight. Let me look up David Smith Tan and see if I could find out what his politics are.
So what would be now they've fixed the homeless problem with boulders. Now what's going to be the problem? It's going to be cars driving off the side of the road into the clear zone. What's supposed to be clear. Now there are boulders there. And people are being launched out of windows.
Oh God. DT, this is great.
Okay.
I found him. Okay. Poor guy. I'm not going to say where he works. There's no reason to do this. He doesn't make a lot of money. Okay. Let's just say he doesn't make a lot of money. He's a younger fellow. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. His education is at the June Jordan School for Equity. And he takes City College called Poetry for the People.
So he gave money for boulders to stop homeless people.
And he went to the Jordan. He's a leftist. That's all I'm pointing out.
But what a hypocrite. He should be out there saying poetry to these people or something.
They don't make the connection. The left, especially Californians, they don't make the connection to voting in free shit for everybody and the dredges of society sleeping on the sidewalk. They don't make the connection. They think it's something else. Jennifer Friedenbach, executive director of Coalition on Homelessness, told KTUV the border installation is an example of anti-homeless architecture.
Yeah, I know. Boulders are going to be racist now.
Oh my God.
Look at all that. Look at all that racism.
You see, it's all about playing to the lowest common denominator and having no responsibility. You're not entitled to enjoy your house that you spent, in San Francisco? $500,000 at least. Sure. On a home. You're not allowed. You have to be the slave of homeless junkies who shit and sleep on your sidewalks.
Uh-huh.
We have 1,200 people on the wait list for a shelter. That's for tonight. People have nowhere to go. I have a question.
Tons of places to go.
Could they get a job? Unemployment's 3-point-something%. I mean, you could get a job. Is that possible?
Aren't there entire neighborhoods in Detroit that are basically abandoned? I mean, it's not a problem of homelessness or not having a house.
Well, it's also infrastructure. I mean, if you don't have electricity or water, you're just going to be squatting.
But there's all kinds of towns that, the housing's really cheap. We got more housing than we know what to do.
Are there jobs there? That's the other thing. There's no jobs in Detroit. You need jobs. Okay.
Well, there's this thing called squatting.
They'll do anything not to work. That's what it boils down to.
Right.
They're expecting you to be so disrespectful of yourself that bums can crash out in front of your parking or you're on your sidewalk, actually, shoot up drugs, and that you owe it to them. It's not that they're lazy or they're losers or they made bad choices and they have to go, suffer the consequences of those choices, or that they could go somewhere else, go to a jobs program. No, the whole world just has to support this entire parasitic and bum class, yet at the same time, slave owner class. These bums are technically your slave owners. in San Francisco because you have to accommodate them. You have to work and give them your sidewalk.
Yep.
You have no rights, none.
And boulders are, what was it?
Anti-homeless architecture. Only a worthless Kuantaha who's never worked a day in her life would come up with a phrase like that.
Right.
I don't even have to look up Jennifer Friedenbach because we can all predict what she is with 100% accuracy. I mean, she's not going to be good looking. We know that. The city does not plan to remove the boulders because they don't block the sidewalk. San Francisco Public Works Department spokeswoman Rachel Gordon said Tuesday. She added that the department is looking into sanctioning the installation. Gordon said she's not aware of any other grassroots effort in San Francisco, which neighbors have pooled resources in order to pay for anti-tent barriers. And
so
here's another thing.
I got a specific question. Are they putting it on the boulevard or is it on their own property?
I think it's on the property, or it's on their own property. It doesn't block.
They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. Have you noticed that when you see pictures of these tents, they're awfully nice tents?
Yeah.
The picture here is a Coleman tent. Those aren't cheap.
Right.
These guys got money for drugs, but they don't have money to like go to the, get shaved up, cleaned up, get a suit and go get a job.
You can probably find tents on eBay for pretty cheap, I bet.
Are you saying they have internet access?
Probably.
How much you want to bet they got smartphones and all that?
Oh, I'm sure. Hang on,
let me clear this out here. And then the last one. We've talked Minneapolis. We talked San Francisco. What is the other shittiest city in the nation?
I could name three: Chicago, Portland, or New York City.
Portland. Hit it with Portland. Portland voters put a 1% tax on large retailers. Complain when retailers pass it on to them.
Right.
Right.
You just got to eat it. You got to eat that cost. Don't you have that money tree that you can just take that 1% off of?
So this is a quote. Okay. I wish people would use quotes and not lines. One of the great myths of public policy is that politicians decide who pays a tax. They might call it something like the medical provider tax in the expectation that medical providers will pay it. But whether or not they do pass it on to medical consumers instead of is outside the politician's control. I wrote this back in May explaining how elasticities determine the incidence of a tax, i.e. who really bears the burden. An example comes from Portland, Oregon. Terry Weisner stared down his Safeway grocery receipt in confusion in mid-September after he noticed being charged an extra 3 cents for buying a package of $2.99 napkins. The 3-cent charge was listed as a tax. He called over the store attendant while still in the self-checkout line at the Southeast Woodstock Boulevard branch and asked about the charge. The worker pointed to a laminated sign nearby. It's right there. Portland instituted a voter-approved clean energy surcharge in January, imposing a 1% tax on paper products, wine, beer, household items, and other products, the sign said. The surcharge began appearing in Safeway customers' receipts on September 9th, and people should contact the city of Portland if they had any concerns, according to the notice. Now, here's where it comes in. I didn't remember voting for any kind of tax, said Weisner, 74. I later learned that this was meant to be a tax on business, not the people. Frankly, it just made me angry. It wasn't about the 3 cents. It's about the spirit of this charge and how it had been passed on to me. I don't have to read through the rest of the article. You know what? Let's look up Terry Weisner, baby boomer fuck that he is, who doesn't understand.
Checking for 3 cents extra.
Well, it's not that.
No, I know. He voted for something thinking that he wasn't going to be affected, that it's only somebody else that's going to get affected. Those people are going to pay. Get them.
This could be a different Terry Weisner.
I mean, this is like...
this could be it. This could be it. He went to school at Portland State in 1963. This very well could be the guy. I don't know.
I mean, are we that? Are people? I mean, obviously, people
Terry
are that
Weisner,
dumb.
Democrat. He's a Democrat. He voted. There it is. He's a Democrat. Okay. Democrat.
Well, Republicans know that a tax on a business is passed through. I mean, that's like basic economic stuff. That's basic reality understanding.
We understand that,
yeah.
But most people don't.
But Democrats don't.
No, Democrat, and they refuse to. But I'm going to explain so that even they will understand it. You cannot heap taxes, regulatory expenses, or just expenses in general on a business to the point it is no longer profitable. Because if it is no longer profitable, the business will simply stop. It won't be in business. It won't make the money to pay its employees. It won't make the money to pay its suppliers and vendors. And then you will not have a Safeway grocery store. This is a very simple example of how there is no groceries in Venezuela. This is why there are empty shelves. You cannot make it to the point that a business is unprofitable because it will not be able to afford its expenses that are required to put the produce in the food and provide the gas, whatever other type of business that it is. So when you add this expense, by default, it has to be passed on to the consumer, because if you keep whittling away out of its profits, it inevitably won't have a profit. Now, a lot of people would say, well, that's fine. The rich corporations and executives and the shareholders, then they should have to pay and give it up. And you can say that, and you can absolutely make that argument. But then soon you're not going to have enough money to pay executives. Your executives are not going to go work there. You're going to have dipshit executives like this Terry Weisner guy go and work there who doesn't understand basic accounting. But the other thing is that you're not going to be able to raise funds from investors to start businesses if they don't get a certain percent rate of return on their money. That's the real reason. Yes, there's going to be profit left over for the executives and for the shareholders. Right? The executives are required to run the company. You can argue about whether they should be paid that amount or not. And then the shareholders get the profits. If you take away profits, nobody's going to invest. No one's going to build factories. No one's going to build grocery stores because they're not going to get their money in return. Why should someone give up their time in the form of their money that they sacrificed and labored for in an investment or through their 401k or their IRA if you're not going to pay them a rate of return? Mm-hmm. It's just parasitism, just dipshit parasitism. You guys just want free shit. You don't want to pay for anything, but you want all of it for free.
You want to hear even taking this guy's argument at kind of face value, giving him the benefit of the doubt. Let's see if you agree with this. So yeah, 100% of that tax doesn't have to be passed on to the consumer, right? I mean, they could decide to lessen.
Company.
They could decide whatever they want, but
there could be a lower dividend payment to all the women who are on a fixed income, who are old Democrats in Portland and rely on it. Yes.
Could be anything, right? Could be anything, but they are in competition with other businesses. And so what capitalism, what competition does is they're not colluding with each other. They want the customers of the other grocery store. And so, yeah, they don't want to pass on as much of that percent tax as they can, so they get as many customers as they can. So there's going to be a certain amount that's passed on, period, to the consumer. But it depends on the competition. It depends on, what they're competing for your dollar. So ultimately it's people's choice too of where they're shopping that determines how much of those costs are passed on.
Right. I just get tired of adults who should know better. This is a 74-year-old man. And I know we pick on the millennials. The millennials are in their 30s now. When the fuck do you people grow the fuck up?
Right, exactly. They've
when lived, do you get do you really deep down inside think that something in life is for free? Wouldn't you have figured out by now through even the laws of physics, the conservation of mass law, action, reaction, equal and opposite, that if it was possible, we could just print off more money, if it was that easy. Like the leftist solutions are always so easy. We just print off more money. We just tax the rate. If it was that simple, wouldn't we have figured it out by now? Right. When we said, holy shit, it works, let's do it. No. They try it. They've tried it several times in varying levels and stages and degrees. And the higher you tax, the slower your economic growth. Period. End of discussion.
There's that ideal. The Laffer curve has that ideal amount. And that's the most that you can. Yeah. That's the most you can recoup. And it's usually a lower, it's the revenue versus the tax rate.
Depends on how cucky your population is. Like the Scandinavians, they can't wait to throw their money away.
That's true.
Latinos, they're very capitalist. They do not. Yeah, if you tax, they'll fuck it. I'm not working. Go to hell. Swedes, they just can't wait to have you enslave them. If I was ever president, I'd just like, hey, how you doing? Your territory. Yeah. We like your caribou. What does Sweden have? What would we want out of Sweden?
They have forests and stuff. Yeah, they have forests.
Let's take Norway instead. They got some oil. Hi, how you doing? We're gonna take you guys.
Sweden has blonde girls, right? Blonde
Oh
women.
yeah. Have you ever met a Swedish girl?
No.
You think Minnesota women are somewhat on the cool side?
Frozen, huh? Frozen is what you're saying?
Yeah, more than one
Elsa?
pun there.
Elsa from Frozen.
Oh my God, I might actually have to go see that movie with the nieces. I pulled up to the nieces yesterday. One had an Elsa dress on, and I'm like, oh crap. And I knew a new movie was coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out.
And they really want to go see that movie. And I'm like,
You know what?
oh.
You know what my eldest daughter said, because we've been slowly kind of talking about politics with them, and just, I mean, the reason why we moved out here was to get away from Democrats, right? So they're curious as to, you know, well, why are Democrats so bad? And we saw the trailer for Frozen, and my oldest said something like, she loves Frozen, right?
Okay.
She said something like, well, I hope they don't make Elsa gay. Something like that. It's just like parenting win.
Yep.
She gets
there. You go. That's the Democrats. That you go over there with the Democrat party.
Yeah.
Luis Soto, 499 says, "What's up, Cappy DT? What's up, Luis? How you doing?"
Hey, Luis.
Luis is a huge fan of Mary Jo. Probably the biggest fan. Whenever I put a picture up, he always sends some kind of funny GIF from a movie or something like that. and I'll send it to her, and she's like, "Oh, he's so sweet. Hey, Luis, she's single. Maybe you guys could get together." She's always dating like investment bankers and fighter pilots and rich guys. And I think we're all caught up.
That's it, man. Just to summarize those three stories.
Yes.
Cap.
Can you guess the common thread?
Well, it's the coffee's good. This is just reap what you sow, baby. This is great news. This is just like point and laugh, sit back and watch. This is exactly what should happen.
They do it to themselves, man.
Yep.
Who's going to pay for that $179 million overreach? It's going to be the St. Paul Democrat voters.
Right.
Because that's all they have there.
And this is why you got to get the fuck away from them. This is why you've got to escape whatever shithole leftist city you're in. You got to get away, because they're never going to learn. They're never going to stop. This is a murder-suicide. It's a murder-suicide pact. That's what it is. I mean, would you stay with somebody who wants to do murder-suicide? No, you wouldn't. You get as fucking far away from them as possible. They will take you down.
See, and what I also found is a lot of them, they just get stuck in their physical environment and they can't think of moving out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
I saw that in Chicago. When I lived in Chicago, I'm like, well, let's get a car and get out of here. Like, where would we go? I'm like, I don't know, Wisconsin, Galena, go to Indianapolis. Oh no, why would we go there? So a lot of people just kind of stay in the squalor and the filth.
Yep.
And it doesn't dawn on them to leave. And so I think they're in this cacophony, and everyone tells them the same thing. Oh yeah, Democrat, leftist, socialist, whatever. And since it's such the background, like a tree or a blue sky, they don't think that that's the problem, because they think that just comes with the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And they little do they realize that is what's turning their otherwise previous cities that were gorgeous back in the 50s, 60s, 40s, not the 70s, start turning shit then. You have these great, wonderful cities, beautiful architecture, and you got shit on the streets.
Right.
And it can't ever possibly be that you guys all vote in for Marxist leftist shit on the municipal level. And I was like, I don't know. And what's sad about cities is your producers and your responsible people can leave. They just leave.
Well, they should.
Well,
too many of them stay. I mean, the only reason they're staying afloat is because of the productive people and
yeah.
You know.
I'd love.
And there's like this mistaken responsibility. Like, oh, I need to do my part. I need to fight the good fight. I need to sit here and just complain about it and vote every 2-4 years for the right candidate who always loses. But I'll just keep doing my thing because I love my city or whatever. And it's like, you know what? Cities can be rebuilt. Look what happened to all of Europe during World War II. I mean, if they destroy things. It's like the Boondock Saints, where the guy does the speech, men build things and then we die. It's what we fucking do. It's in our DNA. And that's what we do. So you just go after the dust settles, after you've let it burn, then you come back and you build it up again and you build it better.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want my house Dude, I'm sounding so like Thanos. I want my house to look at the sunset.
Yeah,
and have my coconut drink or whatever he was making. He was making some kind of fruit drink when he was in the latest movie.
But that's the whole thing with that. That's what I did not like about. I don't know if you ever watched it. Did you ever watch? Not the one after Infinity War. What Endgame?
Endgame. Yeah, I did finally find. I watched it on the flight.
It was just they had the perfect opportunity to kind of show. Well, maybe Thanos was right. You know, instead they show it's like half of the people are still alive.
Yeah.
And like boats can't get into port and
yeah,
things are crumbling. It's like no, life would go on. And you didn't have to rebuild anything. You just have to maintain things. I think it would have been much more interesting if people were guilty, like, wow, actually things are pretty good right. Things are pretty good right now. Kind of
I got my neighbor's car and his wife.
Right. You know, it's kind of was Tony Stark's dilemma that he had a really nice home life. Things were better for him and he felt guilt. He was like, well, should I really go back and try to change things? Yeah. So, anyway, I think things would be better. I think things would work out better.
All right.
And that's the whole point of your Thanos looking at the sunset or whatever. There is that, what do you do next after you achieve that kind of let it burn?
I think I've gotten to the point where I'm done banging my head against the wall. There is nothing after.
You just watch it burn and then
because it's what else is there to do?
Well, you got to do something after.
No. Follow me in on this. All of human existence, for the most part, the vast majority, I mean, except for kings and queens, has been just beating Maslow's hierarchy of needs, beating poverty, beating hunger, getting stability, getting safety.
Yep.
And I went from fucking zero to hero on that. That's one thing I'm very proud of. I am the classical American story from nothing to something.
Sure.
But because of technology, because of advances in economics, and especially now because of the internet, because we could share this wisdom, and men invest their time more wisely rather than the pursuit of women all the time, instead of being obsessed about women. You still pursue women, but you pursue other things. There is, except bar an economic collapse, a wave or a generation of men and some women who are going to also blast through Maslow's hierarchy of needs before you die. And you're going to get there. And since there's been so few people that have done this, there isn't anything built in this intellectual philosophical world. There's nothing. There's other rich people that you can maybe hang out with. And by rich, I mean, like, if you have the money, I guess you could fly F-16s, but then you get bored. It reminds me when I worked security that one time, we did a protection detail for one of the Saudi princes. And he came in, an old guy. When he's here, prince, think old. They're not, there's thousands of them. But anyway, so he came in with an entourage of 120 people. This guy had all the money in the world. These people had all the money in the world, and they were zombies.
Right.
Because they had nothing to do. The women would buy the most random shit just to get a fix to buy it. I think one of his wives bought a package, like a box of hand sanitizers from Walmart. They go to Walmart just as likely as they would go to Neiman Marcus.
Right.
Because wealth,
it didn't matter.
Yeah. There was no value. There was no pricing. I could afford everything. And They're the most lethargic, zombie-like people ever.
Yep.
They're just dead inside. And I think when you get to that point, there's nothing. There's nothing. And instead of trying to find something or build something, which I don't think you can even build anything, because what do you build? You can do philosophy. You can write books. You could create art. That's about as much as my brain has come with. Or you could participate in hedonism, and you could do drugs, and you can go get laid, and you can adventure and do whatever. I've done a little bit of that too. But when you got 30, 20 years left, you get there, and it's like, you know what? I think the trick is to stop fighting it, stop trying to find something, and just do what Thanos did. I want to sit in my little hut and look at the sunset and accept there is nothing else to do, to forgive yourself of the labor of something else. There'll always be something that you go, I'll always travel and visit people. I'll always write a book. I'll always do this. But there's nothing left. You have ran the marathon. It's over.
Right.
And so it's very wise. Now, the killing the half the people, I could see that too sometimes, but where you just want to sit and and then what else would you do? What else? Your kids, they grow up, they go have their family, and they visit you on Christmas and Thanksgiving. What are you and Mrs. DT going to do?
Gonna hang out.
Right. That's what you do.
No, I think you're right, but I'm going to put a little bit of different spin on it. I think that's why society has gone nuts, is because Maslow's hierarchy of needs is sort of met, and there's nothing there, and that's why they're all into destroying things, because it's a lot easier to destroy than to create, and so they've got everything taken care of, and they got all this extra time. And so it's like, well, what do we do? And that's why things are going so insane right now. Rather than, just sit back and relax, man. You got running water. You flush your shit, it goes down the drain. You don't have to worry about it anymore. All these great things that technology and society has provided for fucking everybody, but that's not enough. It's not enough for them. For whatever reason, it's not enough. They feel like they got to do something else, and doing something else is destroying everything.
Right. Because what angers me about that is, you have the choice to do something good or destroy something that's good. And so many people choose to destroy something that's good because it's hard to build. You hit it on the head. It's hard to do something and build something good because they're lazy. Right. They will choose their laziness even outpowers the evil. They'd rather be their desire, their morality to avoid evil. No, they'd rather be evil because they're that lazy. Because if you thought about it, you get all this time in the world. You can hit the gym. You can make yourself physically beautiful. Physically handsome. You could maybe start another company. You could write anything else. What do most people do? They protest. They protest against this. They protest against. They come up with phrases like fucking anti-homeless architecture. I mean, just the most despicable filth. I mean, filth is the true word. Yeah, they choose to.
I hope it catches on, man. I hope it really catches on.
Well, it is. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to shoot up heroin shit on the streets because, I got my government check. Yep. And then if that's the case, and fine, the human race doesn't deserve to live. But I'm going to be on the other side. I'm going to choose to be one of the productive people, or at least the good people. And I don't want anything. I don't want riches. I mean, fine, send money. I'll take it. It'll help with retirement. But I'm going to look at the sunset, and I'm going to smoke my cigars. I'm going to go on my hikes, and then I'm going to die. That's basically. Unless someone's got a better idea, that sounds like a pretty great fucking plan to me.
But in the event that everything collapsed, you would do something after that, because then Maslow's hierarchy of needs does kick in.
Yeah, now I'm
you've got to do something.
Right? Yeah. I got to do something. I don't know. I tried to set up maybe I really ought to join the 3% group because you need a group of people. You need a team. You need a tribe if that happens. And I've tried to form a tribe. I've tried to put together like a quote unquote militia. And everybody else didn't, it was like $silver bikini. Nobody wanted, that's a great idea. Oh no, we got to work out. We got to learn how to, repair and maintain guns and shoot them. We got to learn about survival. Oh no, I'm going to watch TV instead. So it would kind of be more like, well, do I bite the bullet? Do I go out blazing and, taking out as many of these communist assholes as I possibly can? Or do I, join the 3% group, or, join the team in South Dakota, and like, we're, what's the zombie show you like watching?
Oh, Walking Dead. Yeah.
Okay, here's our fort. We're starting all over again. But if I'm doing that, I'm the fucking leader, the undisputed leader. You're going to do what I fucking say when I fucking say it. And guess what? I'm issuing new watches. You know what these watches are going to tell?
Actual time.
Clarey time.
Okay.
You do it when I want it done. None of this, we'll get around to it. I mean, everyone is going to learn Clarey speed. And then that's the only way I'd stick around, because I'm not going to be a post-apocalyptic world with a bunch of fat, pasty dopes who are used to having everything, Uber delivered to them for their doorstep and their food. And, what do you mean I got to go and sharpen the pikes? Whoa, what do you mean I got to go and boil the water?
I always just advise people, you're going to want to be a part of the solution. Whatever comes next, you're going to want to be a part of it. You might have to compromise a few of your principles. You might have to go along to get along, but you're going to want to be a part of whatever solution comes about. And
Or
the,
not. Or
the closer you can, figure that out beforehand, the better, I guess.
the good thing, there's one good thing to look at economic collapse. There's one good thing all men should look for in economic collapse.
What's that?
Your women will actually be thin and hot.
Yeah, because everybody's starving.
Everyone's starving. They'll actually be, you'll want to fuck your wives again.
Why was everybody so thin and svelte during the Depression? It just looks like a glorious time because they were starving.
Ray John, worth getting married around early 30s. Yeah, if she comes around, sure. If there's the right girl, sure.
Yep.
$1.99 from Nick. Why did society pass the point? Oh, when did society pass the point of no return? I would say, I want to say the progressive era, 1913. Once we put in the Federal Reserve and the income tax, that was it. At least for the United States. Yeah,
there's some inevitability to what's happening now based on things that have happened in the past for sure. Yeah. But I would say, honestly, I moved for a reason. I do think things are past the point of no return right now, but there is that small, slim chance if Trump wins again that we can turn this thing around. But if he loses the next election, it's definitely gone. It's definitely done. There's nothing left.
I'm not too aware of the history of suffrage in this world. Some people would say it's when we gave women the right to vote. I disagree with that. I would say it's when you were no longer required to own property that you could vote.
I'd agree with that.
My question, because again, I don't know the history. We went from, you had to be white and you had to be male and you had to be a property owner. Didn't just all of a sudden, all right, now everyone gets to vote with the 19th Amendment for where women got to vote? Was there a point in time where it's like every person who owns property can vote? Was there ever a point of time in that in U.S. history?
No, I don't think so. I don't see the interesting thing about the whole voting history. I think I'm not an expert on it, but so much of our government was based on states' rights in the past that the states kind of decided.
They kind of decided that.
All right. So when they made senators voted in by popular vote, that makes the right to vote that much more important, right? And so I think it has more to do with the structure of government than who was actually voting, because once they started taking more power away from the states, then your vote is the right to vote is really important. But if most of the power lay in the states, whether you voted or not didn't really matter as long as your state was in control and you could vote for people in your state.
Right. I would say, I don't think it happened in U.S. history, but when you no longer had to own property to vote, that I think was the real beginning of the end and the point of no return, because you were no longer vested. Now, you could also say, that's the other thing, is I don't think it ever existed where all races and all genders could vote as long as you own property. I don't think that existed.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But so there's that. Some people would say FDR with the New Deal. But I would say it's when we started giving the vote, basically the vote to people who didn't work.
Right.
Like anyone could vote. Certainly, like in Minnesota, you don't need an ID to vote. That's throw that away. Right. It's over now. But yeah, I would say 100 years ago.
Well, we're misanthropes, and the more a system becomes a pure democracy, the worse it gets. Because people are selfish pieces of shit.
I don't. Nick, for another $1.99, maybe write a companion to Enjoy the Decline called Good. That's what should happen. Well, yeah, you assume that the printing presses are even going to be going on by that time. I'm not going to be writing books. I'm going to be, defending Castle Clarey and hunting antelope.
I think people's idea of what a collapse is going to look like is I don't know. It's a little romantic. I think
it's going to suck.
I think it's going to be. It could be real fast if something really bad happened, but I think it's just going to be this, like you say, a slow decline.
It's going to be a
circle
slow
in the
decline.
drain. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Keep the electricity on for old Thanos. I mean Cappy, and just keep the electricity on. And then when I die, I won't care. You guys can send your 7-year-old boys to get their penises cut off and gender reassignment surgery. All you want. All you want. That's all you have to do. Ray John, I just shot a load. Good for you, Ray John. You found your penis. And that's it. My books, Reconnaissance Man, Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty, Bachelor Pad Economics, Worthless, Young Person's Indispensable Guide to Choosing the Right Major, Enjoy the Decline, Accepting and Living with the Death of the United States, Curse of the High IQ, Poor Rich's Retirement, Captain Capitalism Top Shelf, Captain Capitalism Reserved, and Love Letters to the Left, all available for sale on paperback, Kindle, and most of them audio. If you've already bought the books that you wanted to buy and have read them, please review them online. Doesn't cost you anything. It does cost you your time, though, and I do appreciate it if you do write a review. And some people have. Thank you very much for writing. A lot more reviews have been coming in, so thank you very much. Go ahead, buy those books. They will improve your life. Trust you, me. And they will get you a 10 times rate of return, 1,000% rate of return. Because if you buy Poor Rich's Retirement and you start investing now, you will easily make back tenfold the $9 or the $12, whatever that book costs for you to buy it. We also have my good buddy Adam Pigot's website, Pushing Rubber Downhill, and his book by the same name, Pushing Rubber Downhill, and a second book called Run Guts, Pull Cones. Go to pushingrubberdownhill.com and check out Adam's podcast, blog, and his books, even though he's an Aussie bastard. Then we got the League of Extraordinary Podcasters, TJ Martinell, Financial Survival Network, Silvio Canto's Canto Talk, O'Shea Jackson, blackbrigade.org, thegoddamnbacon.com, the School Sucks Project, Entrepreneurs in Cars, and noncommunistsciencefiction.com. Check out those sites when you're bored here. And I think that's about it. We're good to go.
Good. It's nice outside. I'm going to go outside and enjoy the day.
Yeah, I'm going to go right. And just so everybody knows how not to become a millennial, my book that was slated for this November, unfortunately, of course, due to the medical stuff that happened this month, it's probably going to be December by the time that book is done, if not January, depending on how good I feel and how much energy I got. But that book, I have been working on it. I'm at the stage right now where I'm doing the data on...
Okay.
Because I can't just come out and say the millennials are a failed generation. I have to prove it.
Well, you could, but having footnotes might help. Yeah.
There was a piece of me that wanted to be very arrogant and flippant in the chapter. The first chapter lays down the premise of the book that the millennials are such a horrific failure that we should look to learn from them, from their mistakes, so we never do anything as bad as this again.
Yeah.
And it's the most damning piece of literature I've ever written, that one chapter. It's the best chapter I've ever written in my entire life. I'm very proud of the work so far. Following that up, though, you need a chapter like, and here is the proof that you do indeed suck. Because every snowflake, every precious little fifi-er out there is going to come in. And I thought, like, I'll just do some basic key statistics. But then there was another piece of me to say, a lot of people are going to argue that the millennials don't suck and that I should prove otherwise. Are you kidding me? We all know this. We all know, we've seen the stories, read the news, we saw the statistics. I don't need to make an argument for it. Go and look it up. But that would be too in your face and too arrogant. So I went and I've been pulling data, and holy shit, it's even worse than I thought. I mean, they suck. They suck. A lot of it isn't their fault. Born into recession, baby boomer parents. Mm-hmm. I'm addressing that in the third chapter. But holy fucking failure to launch Batman. I mean, it is bad. It is really bad. So that is taking a long time just to pull all this data to put it together. But yeah,
I hope it's kind of we all saw this coming when we started giving them all trophies for nothing. I mean, it's like,
well, you and I saw it.
If you need more evidence, then here. But we kind of all predicted this when we gave them trophies for nothing.
Yeah, but look at Gen X parents today, and look at even the millennial parents, older millennial parents today. They're fucking it up. They're doing the same. They haven't learned. We're still giving kids participation trophies. Oh my God, is it a gluten-free diet? My child has susceptibility to carpet. I mean, and sadly, this book is not going to stop it. Gen Z is merely just the continuation of the millennials. It really isn't a differentiation, but it's bad. It's really bad. And
The coffee's good.
The coffee's good. I'm gonna Thanos myself out there and just sip my coffee.
Let it burn.
Let it burn. So, will you take us out appropriately, please?
Toodles.